It's Gu Qinghuai. Somehow, he's borne a grudge against Feng Lily. Before Li Qinglan could finish speaking, she was cut off by Director He's wife. I told Lily's parents long ago that the Gu family were no good. But they wouldn't listen, and even arranged her engagement to Gu Qinghuai. The last time Lily got into trouble, I sensed there was something off about Gu Qinghuai. As Lily's fiancé, he kept shielding another girl instead. Director He's wife grew angrier the more she thought about it. If Gu Qinghuai had been there, she would have scratched his face. It's too late to dwell on that now. What matters is figuring out how to get Feng Lily out of this mess. If it had been up to Li Qinglan, she would have reported Gu Qinghuai directly. If the report failed, she would find a way to have him reassigned to a different countryside location. Thank you for your help today. When my husband gets home this evening, I will tell him all about Lily's situation. Don't worry about the Red Armband team. Their director is my brother-in-law. When he comes back from his business trip the day after tomorrow, I will go and talk to him. Very well. I'll be taking my leave now. Li Qinglan could sense a hint of wariness from Director He's wife, so she decided to leave. She had only come to pass along a message. What happened next depended entirely on Director He. After leaving the iron and steel factory family compound, Li Qinglan wandered around the nearby streets. She had no idea where the black market was, so she could only explore aimlessly. The city was nothing like the outskirts. Even when night had fully fallen, people could still be seen moving about. She could not ride her electric scooter in the city and had to travel entirely on foot. After walking for nearly 3 hours, she spotted 3 suspicious-looking men near an alley beside the Public Security Bureau. Each of them carried a burlap sack slung over his back. To confirm whether these men worked for the black market, Li Qinglan quietly tailed them. I really don't get what our boss is thinking, setting up the black market in such an obvious spot. Tell me about it. Every time we haul goods over, we're on edge, scared we'll get caught. The boss must have his reasons. We just need to follow orders. Wang, you're one of the boss's trusted men now. You've got to look out for us later. Do your jobs well and the boss won't treat you badly. Absolutely. We get good benefits following the boss, so we'll work hard for sure. Creeping along behind them, Li Qinglan caught every word of their conversation. Her guess had been right. These 3 men were indeed from the black market. The men ahead were extremely cautious. They kept stopping at every crossroad to check for followers before moving on again. Half an hour later, they reached their destination, a rundown single-story cottage. Li Qinglan hid in the shadows and watched them go inside. It was still too early. The black market had not opened for business yet. She found somewhere to conceal herself and waited. Time dragged slowly. Past 3 o'clock in the early morning, people began trickling into the black market. Taking advantage of the crowd, Li Qinglan slipped in unnoticed. The autumn harvest had just ended, so grain and various mountain products made up most of what was being sold. She had finished browsing and was about to look for the black market boss when a familiar figure caught her eye. Wang Xiaoshan. What was he doing here? Right behind Wang Xiaoshan were the 3 men she had just followed. Seeing how deferential those 3 acted toward him, Li Qinglan instantly understood. She had worried the black market boss might resort to underhanded tricks, yet it turned out to be someone she knew. Since it was an acquaintance, she could not afford to show her real face. Under cover of darkness, before Wang Xiaoshan noticed her, Li Qinglan quickly left the black market. Half an hour later, she returned in the disguise of a middle-aged woman. Excuse me, are you in charge here? I have 2 wild boars to sell. Would you take them? Li Qinglan walked straight up to Wang Xiaoshan and stated her business. Of course we'll take them. Where are the boars? At the mention of wild boars, Wang Xiaoshuan's eyes lit up and he pressed for details. They're in the alley behind us. If you want them, I'll show you the way. Li Qinglan had already placed the wild boars there earlier, waiting to lead Wang Xiaoshan and his men over. We'll take them. Let's go right now. Wang Xiaoshan turned and gave orders to his subordinates. One of you stay here to watch over the goods. The rest come with me to fetch the boars. Li Qinglan led Wang Xiaoshan and his men through a maze of narrow alleys until they reached the spot where she had left the boars. When Wang Xiaoshan laid eyes on them, he was stunned. He had never seen wild boars so large. Neither animal bore deep wounds, there were only blows to their heads. Auntie, did you catch these wild boars yourself? Certainly not. My sons hunted them. They have official jobs and cannot show their faces, so they sent me to handle the sale. Li Qinglan had wanted to claim she had hunted them herself, but to keep her identity hidden, she made up a story about sons. I see. I was wondering how you could possibly drag 2 such huge boars here all by yourself. Wang Xiaoshan was curious about these sons of hers, but respecting black market rules, he did not press for more details. Auntie, we pay 50 cents a gene for whole wild boars. If you have them butchered and sell only the meat, I can give you 80 cents a gene. Wang Xiaoshan was an honest man. Integrity was what had allowed his black market to establish itself in Harbin. Sell them whole. I don't have time to butcher them. If she had time to butcher the boars, she would never have come to the black market. The black market was risky. She would rather carry them in a wicker basket and sell them quietly in the residential compounds. Very well. We'll transport them back and settle payment immediately once they are weighed. Wang Xiaoshan waved for his men to move the boars. Back at the black market warehouse, the boars were unloaded and weighed. Payment was handed over to Li Qinglan right away. The 2 wild boars weighed a total of 680 jin, earning her 340 yuan in all. Holding the money, Li Qinglan was overjoyed. She had not expected 2 wild boars to bring in so much cash. If she sold the more than 20 wild boars still stored in her space, she would grow rich. Still, she knew better than to be greedy. Selling too many wild boars at once would surely arouse suspicion. Before leaving, Li Qinglan asked Wang Xiaoshan whether the black market also bought mountain products. Receiving a positive answer, she resolved to head back into the mountains again. Mountain products did not fetch as high a price, but there was a great quantity of them. Small profits adding up would still amount to a substantial sum. Having finished her business, Li Qinglan traveled back to Dade village through the night. She had rushed out the night before and forgotten to ask the village leader for a letter of introduction. Hostels at that time required such a document for check-in. She had no choice but to make the long journey home overnight. Once outside city limits, Li Qinglan brought out her beloved electric scooter. Riding along the rutted country dirt roads, her bottom took quite a beating from all the jolting. Bouncing along, she finally made it back to the educated youth compound before dawn broke. Feng Lily, in the next dormitory, had not slept a wink all night. Hearing Li Qinglan return, she scrambled out of bed. Qinglan, have you found out any news about my parents? Why are you still awake? Your parents are all right. They have merely been sent down to a farm. I have to go back to Beijing tomorrow morning. I won't rest easy until I see them with my own eyes. Feng Lily was consumed with worry, wishing she could set off at once. What good would going back do? Your parents went to so much trouble to send you to the northeast. Returning would only bring them more trouble. Li Qinglan almost wanted to shake some sense into her. Her parents had arranged for her to go to the countryside in Dade village precisely so she could stay clear of the troubles in Beijing. If she went back now, she would walk straight into humiliation. Those people who had persecuted her parents would not spare her. But I cannot set my mind at peace without seeing them. Feng Lily's eyes turned red as she lifted her chin stubbornly. And he asked me to tell you your parents are safe. She also said you ought to avoid going into the city for the time being until things calm down. After yesterday's report, many people in the city were keeping an eye on Feng Lily. If she were recognized in town, even the He family would be powerless to save her. But no more buts. Go get some sleep. Li Qinglan waved her hand. She had been up all night and desperately wanted to rest. The next morning, Director He returned home and learned from his wife that Li Qinglan had come to see him. Did you tell her to keep Lily steady for the time being? I fear there is no way for the Feng couple to avoid being sent down. Director He sighed. Having retired from the military, there was little he could do to intervene in army-related affairs. The most he could do was protect Feng Lily, so the Feng couple would have one less thing to fear. Feng Lily's 3 elder brothers were serving in the military in the far southwest, safe from the turmoil engulfing their parents in Beijing. I told her what you said. Whether Lily listens is another matter. What are you planning to do about Gu Qinghuai? Director He's wife had tossed and turned the whole night over the Feng family's plight. The Gu family holds considerable influence right now. We cannot touch Gu Qinghuai for the moment. Tomorrow I will go to Dade village and speak with their village leader. He needs to find a way to keep Gu Qinghuai occupied. If we can just get through this year and ride out this turbulent period, Lily will be safe. As a last resort, Lily may have to marry someone in the countryside. Marry in the countryside? That won't do. You know how deeply the Fengs dote on Lily. If they learned she had married a rural peasant, I'm afraid they would despair. Director He's wife knew the Feng couple well. If it truly comes to that, their objections will not change the situation. Director He thought far ahead. No one knew how long this political unrest would drag on. For a girl in Lily's position, marrying a poor peasant would be the safest choice. By the way, doesn't the village leader have a son serving in the army? We would have to talk to Jiang Dajuan. If he agrees, we could arrange a proper job for his younger son. Director, he had once tried to secure a work assignment for Feng Lily, but Old Feng had turned the offer down. Old Feng had been farsighted. Even with an official job, Feng Lily would still be vulnerable to denunciations. Staying in the countryside was, for now, the only way to guarantee her personal safety. The following afternoon, Director, he arrived in Dave Village together with staff from the iron and steel factories purchasing department. Officially, he had come to buy local mountain products as employee bonuses. Factory profits had been good lately, and he intended to source rural goods for staff rewards. When the village leader first saw Director, he felt nervous. He knew he had handled events of the previous day poorly. Still, there had been nothing he could do. He could not block the Red Armband team from entering the educated youth compound. Director, what brings you to Dave Village today? The village leader kept his head lowered, avoiding his gaze. We have come out to buy mountain produce for our factory employees as welfare. The autumn harvest is over. Have the villagers begun gathering leftover mountain goods? Director, he wore a friendly smile. Oh, I see. You have come a little early. Right now everyone is up in the hills gathering wild produce. Still, many households have dried mushrooms and preserved vegetables stored away. If you wish to buy them, I will call the villagers over so you can inspect the quality. Even though he was unaware of Director He's hidden agenda, the village leader welcomed the chance for villagers to earn extra income. Dried mushrooms and preserved vegetables will do, provided the quality is good. Dried hazelnuts and pine nuts would be even better. Dried mushrooms and vegetables alone would not make for very attractive bonuses. Adding hazelnuts and pine nuts would make the reward package far more appealing for factory workers. Very well. I will send my younger son to summon the villagers to the threshing ground right away. The village leader set aside his unease, overjoyed at the prospect of trade. Director, he handed purchasing duties over to his purchasing staff, telling them to wait at the threshing ground. He followed the village leader to the village committee office instead. Once they were alone, he revealed his real reason for visiting. I came today on a private matter. Do you have a moment to talk? Is this about the female educated youth Feng? Now that Director he had spoken, the village leader's anxiety eased. Yes. Winter is drawing near. Does the village have plans for reservoir construction this year? As soon as Director he finished speaking, the village leader understood his meaning. You want to send the educated youth to work on the reservoir? But Feng would never endure such harsh labor. Only the male educated youth will go. The young women ought not suffer through that work. Director He's sole aim was to get Gu Qinghai away from Feng Lily. By the time reservoir work finished, heavy snow would seal the mountains, leaving Gu Qinghai no opportunity to stir up further trouble. We do have reservoir building assignments this year. Participation was supposed to be voluntary. I can assign our strong local laborers to the project. This presented no difficulty for the village leader. Workers on the reservoir earned 1 yuan per day plus 3 free meals. Villagers were eager to sign up for the pay. I shall rely on you for this. I hear your younger son just graduated from high school. Has he found work yet? Pleased by how cooperative the village leader was, Director he nodded approvingly. He has only just graduated. He has no job as of yet. The village leader's heart leapt with hope. He knew currying favor with Director he would bring benefits for his family. Our factory is recruiting temporary workers. I can reserve a spot for your son. If he performs well, he can become a permanent employee next year. Director he excelled at combining pressure with rewards to win people over. Seeing the broad smile spread across the village leader's face, he knew his offer had hit home. Thank you so much, Director he. Rest assured, I will keep a close eye on young Lady Foam and see that no one bullies her. The village leader pledged his loyalty. Protecting one educated youth was trivial for him. If Director he could give his son a way out of rural life, the whole Jiang family would escape peasant poverty. Li Qinglan was woken by knocking at her door. When she opened it, she found an excited Feng Lily standing outside. Qinglan, uncle he is in the village buying mountain goods. You could sell your stock of mountain produce straight to him. Aren't you going to go meet him yourself? Li Qinglan rubbed her sleepy eyes, still groggy from being woken up. She was in no hurry to sell her mountain goods. If the supply and marketing cooperative did not come out to buy, she could always sell everything through the black market. Now that she knew Wang Xiaoshan ran the black market, her earlier fear of that place had faded completely. I cannot think of a good excuse to go over there. Qinglan, please help me just this once. What exactly do you want me to do? You have piles of mountain goods stored in your dorm. Ask Uncle he to come inspect them here. Then I can slip in and have a few words with him. Feng Lily glanced cautiously at Li Qinglan. She only breathed easy once she saw she was not angered. With her parents fallen from grace, she feared even Qinglan might turn her back like so many others. Fine. I suppose I owe you one. I will go speak to him later. Li Qinglan wanted to wash her hands of the whole affair, yet she could not bring herself to be cold-hearted toward a friend. Truly, she ought not to grow close to people. Once feelings developed, being harsh became impossible. Thank you, Qinglan. Tears of gratitude welled in Feng Lily's eyes. She had known Li Qinglan would help her. There is only so much I can do for you. You're well. Being ultimately depends on yourself. The belongings you asked me to hide will be returned to you when winter sets in and work slows down. You do not even have to give those things back. I already owe you my life. Though naive, Feng Lily was not foolish. She knew perfectly well who treated her kindly. Keep your belongings for yourself. Your parents will need your support. Next year you have to stand firmly on your own 2 feet. Work hard in the fields. Do not keep earning only 4 work points each day as you did before. She suspected Feng Lily would no longer be allowed to work at the threshing ground the following year. This was her gentle warning. I will work hard. I am my parents' only support now. I cannot afford to collapse. Feng Lily spoke both to Li Qinglan and to herself. Once protected by her parents, she had lived carefree. Now her parents needed her, and she had to grow strong. I am glad you see it that way. Let me wash up, and I will go look for Uncle He shortly. Director He had been worrying over what excuse he could use to visit the educated youth compound and see Feng Lily. When he spotted Li Qinglan approaching, his face lit up. Comrade Li, is there something you need from me? Hello, Director He. I have a large quantity of mountain goods in my dorm. Would you care to examine them? Certainly. I will come right away. Director He followed Li Qinglan back toward the educated youth compound. Other villagers were walking along the path, so they held their tongues on sensitive subjects. As soon as they reached Li Qinglan's dormitory door, Feng Lily stepped out from the room. Uncle He, you are finally here. Lily, are you all right? Director He hurried forward, concerned for her condition. I am fine. Please tell me, how are my parents? Feng Lily grabbed at the sleeve of his jacket, her face etched with anxiety. They are safe, do not worry. Trust in their abilities. They will pull through this. Director He patted her shoulder to soothe her. Thank goodness. Thank you, Uncle He. Without you gathering news of them, I would not know what to do. I was your parents' friend. This is the least I can do. Avoid traveling to Harbin for the time being, for your own safety. As for Gu Qinghuai, ignore him and do not provoke him. Director He feared Feng Lily might act impulsively and give Gu Qinghuai grounds to retaliate against her. I understand. I will stay far away from him. Feng Lily nodded in acknowledgement. Good. Look after yourself. Go to the village leader if you ever need assistance. He will help you. Director He had gone to great lengths for Feng Lily, desperate to ensure no harm came to her before he could intervene. I know. You two had better stop talking. Gu Qinghuai has just walked through the compound gate. Li Qinglan kept watch on the entrance and gave them an urgent warning. Hearing this, Director He quickly stepped back, putting distance between himself and Feng Lily. He had not publicly announced his identity in Day Village. Only a handful of locals recognized him. Feng Lily reacted fast and returned to her room, pretending nothing had happened. Gu Qinghuai did not know who Director He was and thought nothing of the scene. He had heard that outsiders had come purchasing mountain produce and assumed Director He was merely there to inspect Li Qinglan's goods. Inspecting mountain goods had only been a cover for Director He to meet Feng Lily. Yet when he saw Li Qinglan's sacks full of wild produce, genuine interest stirred within him. Educated youthly, are these bags full of hazel mushrooms? Yes. When I gathered mushrooms, I only picked hazel, mushrooms, and left all the others alone. Li Qinglan nodded. Most of the dried mushrooms in her sacks had been grown with her special ability. That was why they were so large and fine-looking. These pine nuts and hazelnuts are good too. Our steel mill will take all of them. Take them over to the threshing ground to be weighed shortly, then go find someone from the purchasing department to collect your money. Director He was not in charge of purchasing. He was only acting as an intermediary. Li Qinglan had not expected Director He to buy up all her mountain goods. She had thought he would just make a token purchase and leave. Still, since he wanted everything, selling it all to the steel mill suited her perfectly. The price was far better than what the supply and marketing cooperative offered. The purchasing station of the cooperative paid very low rates. Villagers worked themselves to the bone every year and barely made any real money. Li Qinglan had stockpiled a large quantity of mountain goods lately. She had more than 200 jean of dried hazel, mushrooms alone. Her hazelnuts and pine nuts amounted to over 500 jean combined. Hazelnuts sold at 30 cents a jean. 380 jean came out to 114 yuan. Pine nuts were 80 cents a jean. 130 jean totaled 104 yuan. Hazel, mushrooms went for 60 cents a jean. 220, 3 jean added up to 133 yuan and 80 fen. Altogether, the 3 kinds of mountain goods brought her 351 yuan and 80 fen. The onlooking villagers burned with envy. Most of them had only earned a few dozen yuan from their mountain foraging this year. All right, everyone, move along. Instead of standing around watching someone else earn money, get up the mountain yourselves. The steel mill's purchasing team will come out to the countryside again at year end. You can all earn more then. The village chief worried that jealousy toward Li Qinglan would stir up trouble. We're heading up right now. We can't let all the mountain resources go to educated youthly. That's right. I'm going to make good money this year. I'll use it to find a fine wife for my youngest son. I'm going home for my baskets and gunny sacks. The whole family is going out. We can't possibly do worse than educated youthly. I'll fetch my daughter too. She shouldn't idle about at home all day. After Aunt Wang Er and Zhang Guilan and the other onlookers dispersed, they asked Sanjun to help push the handcart toward the threshing ground. Though they did not have nearly as much produce as Li Qinglan, their haul was still substantial by village standards. Once their goods had been weighed and they had received their payment, Aunt Wang Er and Zhang Guilan could not stop smiling. Aunt Wang Er, group leader, you look overjoyed. You must have made quite a bit. Li Qinglan slipped up and tapped Aunt Wang Er on the shoulder. She nearly dropped her cash in fright. Educated youthly. You scared me half to death. How do you walk without making a sound? Are you heading back up the mountain today? I want to look for more pine nuts. Having earned such a large sum from mountain goods, Li Qinglan was eager to go foraging again. Of course we are. Just give me a minute. Sanjun and I need to drop off the handcart and sacks first. Aunt Wang Er stuffed her money into her pocket and picked up her baskets and sacks to leave. I'm coming too. Wait for me while I put my things away. Zhang Guilan had nothing else planned. She might as well join the others to scour the hills. In previous years, their mountain goods could only be sold to the supply and marketing cooperative. Once the cooperative had bought enough stock, it would accept no more. Most of what villagers gathered had to be kept for family consumption or hauled to market days for sale. This year, the steel mill's purchasing visit was a rare opportunity. She intended to make the most of it. Word of the steel mill's buying spree spread fast through Date Village. It filled the villagers with motivation to forage in the mountains. Everyone was fired up and ready to work. Feng Lily had nothing to do back in the dormitory, so she tagged along with Li Qinglan up the mountain. Chen Lijun, Wang Jiwei, and the others had gone to cut firewood. Even the habitually lazy Gu Qinghuai had been dragged along. Everyone still resented Gu Qinghuai for reporting Feng Lily the day before. If they were not wary of crossing the Gu family, they would have refused to share meals with him. Li Jun, what's wrong with you? Why are you so cold toward me? Have I done something to upset you? Gu Qinghuai had no idea the others knew about his report against Feng Lily. He assumed Chen Lijun was angry over something else. I'm not angry. I'm just worn out. Chen Lijun dared not provoke Gu Qinghuai. She feared he might turn on her the way he had targeted Feng Lily. Rest if you're tired. If we don't have enough firewood, we can buy coal. Seeing how haggard she looked, Gu Qinghuai felt a flicker of concern. I'll stop to rest when I need to. Chen Lijun no longer trusted his words. He had promised to buy coal many times, yet not a single lump had appeared even after the autumn harvest. There's a hazel tree over there. Come on, I'll take you to pick hazelnuts. Gu Qinghuai took Chen Lijun by the hand and led her toward the tree. Watching him walk away, Wang Jiwei clenched his fingers. A dark glint flashed across his eyes. The older, educated youths staying in the front courtyard were not far from Wang Jiwei's group. They were also gathering firewood. Chen Youheng had gone back to the city because of his serious hand and foot injuries. Now only 2 young men and 5 young women remained in the front courtyard quarters. Lu Zhenghua, Yu, and Wang Igua dragged this firewood down the hill right away. If we gather too much later, we won't get it home before dark. Chen Hinghua did not want to haul firewood herself, so she ordered the only 2 young men in the shared quarters to do it. Why can't the young women help? Can't you see Igua and I are up in the tree chopping branches? Lu Zhenghua rolled his eyes. Chen Yinghua loved ordering other people around. We women are not strong enough. Heavy work has to fall on you men. Says who? Admit you just want to slack off instead of making excuses. Educated Youthly is also a woman, and she hauls firewood down the mountain all by herself. Lu Zhenghua had long grown tired of Chen Yinghua. At last he spoke his mind. You, Lu Zhenghua, listen to what you're saying. Can Educated Youthly be compared to ordinary young women? You, a grown man, cannot even match her, yet you dare criticize me. Chen Yinghua flew into a rage and shouted at him. Hold your tongue, Chen Yinghua. You are going too far. I do not want to quarrel with you. There are far more women than men in this front courtyard. How dare you dump all the hardest work on us? Lu Zhenghua was furious. He and Wang Aigua bore nearly all the heavy chores around the Educated Youth compound. Yet whenever they ate a little extra at mealtimes, the young women complained that they ate too much. Everyone else wanted to sit back and reap the rewards, and that was impossible. Am I going too far? I think you are the one out of line. As men, shouldn't you take on more work? Why should we? Just because we are men, we deserve to be exploited? If you want the horse to run fast, you must feed it well. If you expect us to do your heavy labor, give us larger portions at mealtimes. Lu Zhenghua was already irritable from constant hunger, and Chen Yinghua's demand pushed him over the edge. No, I cannot agree. You already eat far too much. That would be unfair to us. Before Chen Yinghua could reply, young Zhaodi cut in with a firm refusal. In that case, we will supply half the kitchen firewood from now on. You sort out the rest yourselves. Lu Zhenghua was not one to accept unfair losses. You earn more work points and receive more grain allotments than we do. If we give you extra food, what will we eat? As for firewood, we had an agreement. The young women tend the vegetable plot and cook. The young men cut firewood and carry water. So you're responsible for kitchen firewood. We only provide wood for heating our own kong beds. Hu Xiaomei disliked taking advantage of others and hated being taken advantage of in return. Very well. Aigua and I will get the kitchen firewood ready. We will not deal with fuel for your kong beds. Seeing Lu Zhenghua about to argue further, Wang Aigua quickly intervened. Hu Xiaomei was satisfied with his reasonable response and dropped the subject. After supper, the Educated Youth compound grew lively. With no field labor to attend to, everyone had free time to chat. Tired of the other residents in the front courtyard, Hu Xiaomei washed up and went over to see Feng Lily in the back courtyard. Educated Youth Feng, why are you eating so late? Hu Xiaomei was surprised to find Feng Lily sitting in the doorway with her bowl. Darkness had already fallen. Qinglan and I got back very late, so supper is delayed. What brings you to the back courtyard? Don't you have pine cones to shell? We haven't even got our firewood sorted. No time to go gathering pine nuts. Hu Xiaomei stared enviously at the piles of pine cones stacked outside Feng Lily's room. The front courtyard had barely any firewood, let alone pine cones. You had better hurry. Snow will come soon if you do not lay in your firewood stock. Feng Lily felt fortunate to have stocked up on coal briquettes. Even short of firewood, she would keep her kong warm through winter. Sigh. When people cannot pull together, nothing goes smoothly. Hu Xiaomei sighed. The previous year she had worked hard, earned plenty of work points and received a good grain share. She had also collected more than her share of firewood. Still, no one appreciated her efforts. Behind her back they said she was only trying to show off. Sister Xiaomei, you could team up with Li Jun. You could live together and prepare firewood side by side. Feng Lily had her own reasons for suggesting this. Knowing her own awkward position, she wanted to keep Chen Lijun out of trouble. But would she agree? Go and ask her. I think she will. I will talk to her later. Thank you. Hu Xiaomei had long wanted to move out of the crowded shared quarters. She could no longer stand her lazy room. Mates? What are you two chatting about? You sound quite merry. Li Qinglan stepped out of her room just then. Sister Qinglan, you have finished washing up. Feng Lily stood up at once to fetch her a stool. Keep your seat. I still need to cook some noodles. Otherwise I will go hungry in the night. Li Qinglan waved her hand. She had not eaten supper yet and could not stop to chat. Educated Youthly, why are you back so late? Hu Xiaomei admired Li Qinglan more than anyone else around. She had thought herself hard, working, yet Li Qinglan did her in every way. She earned the full work points of a strong laborer, had her winter firewood ready ahead of time, and made good money selling mountain goods. I went pine nut foraging with Aunt Wang Er and the others. We went deep into the hills, so we got home late, Li Qinglan explained. You are truly extraordinary. Full work points, firewood laid in, and piles of mountain goods besides. Envy shone in Hu Xiaomei's eyes. She wished she could be as capable. If you are willing to work hard, you can achieve the same. Li Qinglan liked stockpiling supplies. Constant outward expenditure without replenishment made her feel unsafe. I think I should move out and cook for myself too. I want to stand on my own 2 feet and support myself with my own hands. Hu Xiaomei was not lazy. She simply refused to keep suffering losses for others' benefit. Move if you wish. There is no need to force yourself to stay if life in the shared dormitory makes you miserable. Li Qinglan did not press her for details. Everyone made their own choices, and she would not stand in her way. Educated youthly, you are so level-headed. You hardly act like a girl of 16. Hu Xiaomei had always thought Li Qinglan different from most young women. Her independent mind made her seem somewhat detached from the group. People grow more mature when they have lived through much. Li Qinglan was already doing her best to behave like a 16-year-old girl. If she followed her past life personality, she would keep entirely to herself. Night deepened. The 3 young women talked and laughed and did not return to their beds until after 10 o'clock. Early the next morning, Li Qinglan set off for the mountains again with Feng Lily to harvest pine nuts. They headed for a hill they had not visited before. On her way back from the first farm some time ago, Li Qinglan had spotted a grove of Korean pines not far off the track. She was not going to pass up such an excellent spot for pine nuts. Though further away than other hills, it lay close enough to the road for handcarts. They brought lunch and planned not to return home at midday. Li Qinglan had made arrangements with Aunt Wang Er and Zhang Guilan the day before. A whole group set out together. Aunt Wang Er brought her 3 sons and 2 daughters-in-law. Zhang Guilan came with her daughter Wang Xiaozhen. Having gathered at the village entrance, the party marched toward the hill Li Qinglan had found. Before setting out, Aunt Wang Er had borrowed an extra handcart for Li Qinglan, in case they gathered too many pine cones to carry back. They walked for more than an hour before reaching the trail leading uphill. Sister Qinglan, this is such a long way. Feng Lily gasped for breath. Sweat streamed down her forehead, soaking the back of her jacket. It is quite a distance. Rest assured, though, the pine nuts here are far better quality than those from the hills near our village. As they neared the grove, Li Qinglan quietly used her special ability to boost the pine trees. Every cone developed plump, top-grade pine nuts. I trust you, Sister Qinglan. You are my hero. Feng Lily reached for Li Qinglan's hand and walked beside her. Don't be so gushy. You are giving me goosebumps. Li Qinglan pulled her hand away and stepped back. The upward trail was too steep for handcarts. They hid the carts in a sheltered spot and continued on foot. The mountain looked close from below, yet appearances deceived them. Half an hour's walking brought them only to the edge of the pine forest. Why, there is a matsutake mushroom here. It is a pity we have had no rain. Otherwise we could spend the day gathering matsutake instead. Stepping into the pine woods, Aunt Wang Er spotted one at once. She plucked it and dropped it into her basket. Aunt Wang Er, is this matsutake? Li Qinglan looked on curiously. She had been so busy collecting hazel mushrooms she had never noticed matsutake before. Yes, this is matsutake. If we get rain in a few days, there will be plenty more of them. Aunt Wang Er nodded. She had foraged for matsutake in past years, yet dry weather kept numbers low this season. The weather suggests rain is coming soon. Li Qinglan hoped for rain so she could collect more matsutake. Matsutake are hard to find and depend on luck. Even if it rains, we would be better off going for hazel mushrooms. They grow everywhere in great quantities. Matsutake are too scarce to be worth the trouble. Aunt Wang Er seldom made special trips for matsutake. Yields were tiny. Their flavor was not even better than hazel mushrooms. Worst of all, the purchasing station paid about the same price for both. Matsutake only became expensive in the 1980s. Back in the 1970s, they sold cheaply. I thought matsutake were rare treasures. Why are they so inexpensive? Li Qinglan was confused. In later generations, matsutake fetched very high prices. I cannot say. Perhaps people back then did not recognize their worth. Matsutake look much like ordinary pine mushrooms, and many villagers cannot tell them apart. Pine mushrooms are common on our local hills. Real matsutake only grow deep in old, growth forest. I cannot tell pine mushrooms apart. I never dare pick unknown mushrooms for fear of poisoning myself. Li Qinglan only harvested hazel mushrooms. She avoided all unfamiliar fungi for safety. Fresh pine mushrooms taste quite good, though not as fine as hazel mushrooms. Once dried, they lose their flavor entirely. Aunt Wang Er favored hazel mushrooms, perfect for stewing chicken or ribs. I agree. That is why I only gather hazel, mushrooms, and ignore everything else. Thanks to her special ability, Li Qinglan had no shortage of hazel, mushrooms, and saw no need to compete for other kinds. Sister Qinglan, I am going over there to knock down pine cones. Will you come with me? Feng Lily pointed toward a large leaning pine tree nearby. Sure, let's go. Li Qinglan nodded. She had wanted to explore that direction anyway. With such a large group, they needed to spread out to work efficiently instead of crowding together. Aunt Wang Er's 3 sons were skilled workers. They climbed trees and knocked pine cones down. Beneath the trees, Aunt Wang Er and her 2 daughters, in-law, gathered and bagged the cones. Everyone divided their tasks and worked energetically. Zhang Guilan and her daughter moved more slowly. They lacked the strength to climb tall trees. Using sticks, they could only reach cones on the lower branches and had to leave the high, hanging ones behind. Li Qinglan and Feng Lily soon reached the leaning pine tree. Close to the deeper part of the forest, this spot held far more pine cones. Sister Qinglan, how about we work as a team? You climb up and knock the cones down, and I will pick them up on the ground. After we get them home, we can split the harvest 80, 20, 80 for you and 20 for me. Feng Lily knew her own limits. She could barely knock down any cones if she had to climb trees herself. All right, but let's make it 70, 30. 70 for me, 30 for you. Li Qinglan did not want to take advantage of her friend. A 70-30 split seemed fair. Very well. Feng Lily nodded. She would work extra hard gathering so Li Qinglan would not lose out. They got straight to work. Li Qinglan scrambled up the tree and began striking the cones with a long bamboo pole. Cones came crashing down one after another, thudding onto the forest floor. Wearing a straw hat and gloves, Feng Lily squatted and picked them up. Working together was much faster than working alone. Before long their sack was half full. Li Qinglan was pleasantly surprised by how quickly Feng Lily kept up. At noon they ate simple meals of corn, meal buns and drank spring water, then carried on working. They only packed up and headed downhill once every sack they had brought was completely full. Li Qinglan and Feng Lily finished their pine nut work early and even gathered several bundles of firewood on the side. The power of collective labor showed itself plainly. The 6 members of the Wang family collected more than 30 sacks of pine cones and also dragged out 2 large dead tree trunks. On their way back, the 2 hand carts they had could barely be hauled home. Zhang Guilan watched the united Wang family and was filled with envy. This made her feel frustrated with her own husband, who lazed about at home every day. Mother, stop envying others and come help pull the cart quickly. The others will get far ahead any minute. Wang Xiaojun rarely did heavy work. After a full tiring day, she had no energy left for anything else. You have so little stamina. Look at educated youth Li. She can pull a hand cart forward all by herself with ease. Though Zhang Guilan chided her daughter for being less capable than Li Qinglan, deep down she hated to see her overwork. She usually only let her do light chores and never made her tackle strenuous, back-breaking labor. Mother, don't be so bitter. Our family isn't struggling to get by. There is no need to push ourselves so hard. Wang Xiaojun did not want Zhang Guilan to exhaust herself either. Several members of their household drew salaries, so they had no need to earn money by selling mountain goods. I just feel envious seeing how close your second aunt's family is. Look at how capable eldest, second, and third son are. What else can they do? With so many children in the family, they have to work hard or they will go hungry. The Wang Dajuan household was one of the largest families in the village, with 14 people in total. 6 children and Wang Erhua earned no work points. If Wang Dajuan and his 2 brothers failed to earn their full quota of work points, the family would face real food shortages. Never mind. You won't understand no matter what I tell you. You are still just a child. I am already 18. Don't keep calling me a child every time you cannot win an argument. Wang Xiaojun grew a little annoyed. She felt she could not get through to her mother. You girl just do not know how to speak properly. To me, you will always be my little girl. Zhang Guilan smiled helplessly at her daughter's childish outburst. She wondered whether bringing her up to be so naive was a good or bad thing. When Li Qinglan and her group returned to the village, they caused another stir. Everyone's eyes lit up at the sight of their haul. The educated youths living in the front courtyard in particular had barely gathered any firewood. Their jealousy toward Li Qinglan over her large stock of mountain goods was plain for all to see. That educated youth Li is so standoffish. She saw we haven't got our firewood ready and wouldn't even lend us a hand. Qinjinsi stared at Li Qinglan with resentful eyes. She was now convinced that Li Qinglan was responsible for what had happened to her elder brother, even though she had no proof. You are right. I will go talk to her. The educated youth compound is supposed to be a collective. She must not undermine our unity. Chen Yinghua nodded in agreement. As head of the educated youth compound, she believed it her duty to keep every educated youth in line. The other youths said nothing, yet their facial expressions showed they shared Chen Yinghwa's view. Have you people no shame? Ganging up on one young girl, aren't you afraid of what folks will say? Hu Xiaomei rolled her eyes. She no longer wanted to be associated with them. She knew she had to move out soon, before she lost her temper and openly fell out with the group. Xiaomei, why have you started thinking like the new educated youths? We are outsiders sent down to the countryside. If we do not stick together, the villagers will take advantage of us. Yang Jiadi looked at Hu Xiaomei in disapproval. The two had once been close friends. Ever since the new batch of educated youths arrived, Hu Xiaomei had gradually distanced herself from her. Yang Jiadi, do not lecture me. If you send your grain home again this year, do not expect me to share mine to cover your shortfall. Hu Xiaomei had been friendly with Yang Jiadi because both of them were hard, working. When did I ever send grain home? Do not make false accusations against me. Yang Jiadi's heart skipped a beat. She had not expected Hu Xiaomei to bring the matter out into the open. Sending grain home? Was that why we barely had enough to eat in the compound last winter? Lu Zhenghua forgot all about arguing with Hu Xiaomei and turned his anger toward Yang Jiadi. I did no such thing. Hu Xiaomei is lying about me. Yang Jiadi shook her head, eyes red. She bore a grudge against Hu Xiaomei in her heart. Hu Xiaomei had promised to keep it secret, yet she had broken her word. You know full well whether it is true or not. I have no reason to lie about you. With that, Hu Xiaomei walked back to her dormitory. She had no wish to talk to people eaten up by envy. She could not fathom their sense of entitlement, always trying to grab other people's belongings for themselves. Li Qinglan paid no mind to their jealousy. What she had gathered with her own 2 hands belonged to her, and no one could take it away. That day she had brought back 22 sacks of pine cones. She kept 16 for herself, and the remaining 6 belonged to Feng Lily. Thinking Feng Lily had got the worst end of the deal, Li Qinglan gave her all the firewood they had collected. Her 16 sacks weighed roughly 800 jin. After drying, they would yield about 200 jin of pine nuts. Earning more than 100 yuan in a single day was an extraordinary rate of income. Even in later times, such wages would be considered quite good. Still, such a windfall could only happen once. By the next day, crowds of villagers would surely head up the mountain with them. That pine forest must have grown up in recent years, which explained why no one had gone there to gather pine cones before. Add in Li Qinglan's special abilities, and that accounted for their exceptional harvest that day. The Wang family's haul was even bigger. To reward her 3 sons, second Aunt Wang cut up the last small piece of cured pork they owned. There was very little meat, only a few thin slices, stewed with mushrooms in a large pot. After supper, the Wang family sat in the courtyard to enjoy the cool evening air. Mother, I want to come with you to gather pine cones tomorrow. More of us will mean we can collect more. Seeing the day's harvest, Wang Erhua regretted not going along. We do not need so many people tomorrow. Just eldest, second, and I will go. Third son, go to your future father-in-law's house tomorrow and see if they need any help with work. Second Aunt Wang knew full well that crowds of villagers would rush to the mountain the next day, leaving very few pine cones for them. It was a good chance for third son Wang to visit his intended bride and help out her family. All right. I will set off first thing in the morning. Third son Wang nodded. They had been busy with the autumn harvest, and he had not seen his fiancée for over a month. Brother, if you go to town, buy me a box of vanishing cream. Wang Erhua touched her face, which had grown rough from working through the harvest. Even with care, the sun had darkened her complexion. Give me the money first. Third son Wang held out his hand. It is only 1 yuan. Do you really have to ask me for it? Wang Erhua reluctantly pulled 1 yuan from inside her clothes and handed it over. Each of the 3 siblings received the same pocket money. Whenever the family earned income, second Aunt Wang gave each child 1 yuan. Easy for you to say. 1 yuan is still money. I have to watch every cent I spend. Third son Wang slipped the money straight into his pocket. His savings were modest, and he occasionally bought snacks for his fiancée, so he needed to be thrifty. Stop pestering your brother. You have more spending money than anyone else in this household, yet you always try to take advantage of him. Though second Aunt Wang doted on her daughter, she would not take her side unfairly. Mother, you are biased. You never say a word when brother spends money on his fiancée, but you go on and on every time I give an egg to educated youth Lu. Wang Erhua glared at her mother, filled with indignation. How dare you talk back? I have told you time and again that educated youth Lu cannot be trusted. He is only after what he can get. Second Aunt Wang tapped her daughter's forehead in exasperation. Prompted by Li Qinglan's warning, she had made inquiries in the neighboring village about Qin Yimei. Sure enough, Qin Yimei had a fiancé surnamed Lu who had been sent down to Dave village. Once she had learned the truth about Lu Zhenghua, Second Aunt Wang had forbidden her daughter from seeing him. But I asked educated youth Lu. He said he has no fiancé. Wang Erhua looked uncertain, torn over whom to believe. Are you foolish? Even if he has one, he will never admit it. I went to the neighboring village and asked around myself. Can that be wrong? But no buts. Listen to your mother. You are not allowed to go near educated youth Lu anymore. Second Aunt Wang wished she could pry open her daughter's head to see what was going on inside it. That educated youth Lu was smooth-tongued and thoroughly unreliable. Li Qinglan knew nothing of what was happening in the Wang household. After supper, she went to bed early. Early the next morning, she set off for the mountains with Feng Lily as usual to knock down pine cones. This time she did not bring so many sacks. Instead, she carried an axe and a saw. If crowds kept them from gathering pine cones, they could at least bring back dry firewood. Sure enough, when she reached the village entrance, she saw a crowd of villagers waiting for her. Why, educated youthly, there you are. We have been waiting ages. Widow Wang walked over with a bright smile and greeted her warmly. Are you all coming up the mountain with us today? Li Qinglan glanced at the hemp sacks in everyone's hands. They had all come well prepared. We certainly are. I hope you will not turn us away. A flicker of displeasure crossed Widow Wang's eyes. At her words, Li Qinglan sensed unfriendly stares from the surrounding crowd. Why would I? The mountain belongs to everyone. Anyone who wants to go should follow along. I will show you the way. Educated youthly is so generous. Not like the accountant's wife who refused to tell us where she found pine cones yesterday. Quite right. Educated youthly has a big heart. The villagers' attitude shifted completely once they realized Li Qinglan would lead them there. Let us set off. If we delay, we will not make it back for lunch. Li Qinglan paid no heed to their hollow praise. Listening to insincere compliments would only vex her. Shortly after Li Qinglan's group left, Second Aunt Wang and Zhang Guilan arrived at the village gate. Finding no waiting crowd, they guessed Li Qinglan must have already led everyone up the mountain. The whole Wang family had turned out. Like Li Qinglan, Second Aunt Wang planned to cut firewood if they could not get pine cones. Along with their hand carts, they brought saws, wood, chopping knives, and rope for bundling firewood. Zhang Guilan had lowered her expectations. Being women, she and her daughter could not compete with others. They would gather whatever they could. She had wanted Wang Xiaoshan to come along, but he had refused, and she let the matter drop. Once they reached the mountain slope, the villagers swarmed forward, each staking their claim to a patch of woods. Li Qinglan avoided the scramble. She pulled Feng Lily toward another area to cut firewood. Where crowds gathered, trouble was never far away. Soon after Li Qinglan moved off, Widow Wang started shouting at another sharp-tongued village woman, Old Lady Lai. This spot is mine. Stop knocking pine cones off my tree with that stick. Widow Wang rushed over to snatch the bamboo pole out of Old Lady Lai's hands. Says who this tree is yours? Make it answer to your name if you can. Old Lady Lai was not intimidated. She insisted she had spotted that tree first. You. Do not act shamelessly with me. I, Wang Chenhua, am not afraid of you. No matter who comes, this tree is mine today. Well then, I say all your money belongs to me. Are you going to hand it over? Are you looking for a fight? Fight then. Who is scared? The two women had borne a grudge against each other for years, dating back to when Old Lady Lai's husband was still alive. Fine. You asked for this. I will scratch your face to ribbons. Widow Wang lunged forward, and the two women grappled with one another. They fought while hurling abusive insults. Nearby villagers covered their children's ears. The villagers were used to their frequent brawls, so no one stepped in to separate them for quite some time. They only stopped once both were worn out. Widow Wang's hair was disheveled, her clothes crumpled and caked in dirt, with several red scratch marks across her face. Old Lady Lai fared no better. 2 buttons had been torn off her coat, and her newly sewn patch ripped open. Li Qinglan and Feng Lily arrived just as the fight ended. They had missed the spectacle of hair, pulling, and felt a flicker of disappointment. Widow Wang and Old Lady Lai have quarreled for more than 10 years, ever since Old Lady Lai's husband was still alive. I heard Widow Wang once had a marriage proposal for Old Lady Lai's husband, but his mother rejected her for being too short. Not long afterwards, Widow Wang married her own husband. Second Aunt Wang leaned close and whispered the history of their long-standing feud. How did Widow Wang's husband die? She seems to get on badly with her in-laws. Raising 2 children all on her own cannot have been easy. Li Qinglan did not care much for Widow Wang, yet she acknowledged how hard it must have been to bring up 2 children alone. You have that wrong. She only clashed with some of her sisters-in-law. She got on well with her brother-in-law. Rumor has it he would often leave her house late at night. Widow Wang's husband had been a decent man, but sickly. He died before he turned 30. If those rumors hold true, Li Qinglan trailed off without finishing her thought. She was not an eyewitness, and spreading unsubstantiated gossip would be wrong. We will keep that between ourselves. By the way, Zhang and I have just arrived up the mountain. Where are you and Educated Youth Phone gathering pine cones? Shall we join you? Second Aunt Wang changed the subject, unwilling to dwell on Widow Wang's private life. We are heading west, close to the deep mountains. There are not many pine trees there. We are going for firewood. Most of the good pine cones had already been stripped the day before. Rather than compete with the crowd, they would gather firewood or look for other resources. We will go with you. We brought saws and axes. We should collect plenty of dead wood, or we may not have enough fuel for winter. Though the Wang family wood shed was already full, their large household consumed far more firewood than most families. Very well. Let us go a little deeper. I spotted several hazelnut trees over there. Li Qinglan wanted to go further into the woods. Going alone with Feng Lily carried risks. An emergency might force her to reveal her secret abilities. The hazelnut grove lay not far from the pine forest. The terrain was open and sunlit, and the hazelnut trees grew thick and strong. Hazelnuts fetched less money than pine nuts, but they bore abundant fruit. Educated Youthly, you have such good luck. First the pine forest yesterday, now this hazelnut grove. How do you always find such good spots? Second Aunt Wang sighed in admiration, full of envy. She wished she could keep discovering valuable wild resources the way Li Qinglan did. I merely happened upon it. It is not special luck. Li Qinglan smiled modestly, inwardly delighted. Fortune really did favor her whenever she went up the mountain. There are far too many hazelnuts for us to pick today. Before long, the other villagers will find this place and take most of them. Second Aunt Wang sighed at the waist. It is all right. We already gathered a great deal yesterday. We only need enough hazelnuts to get us through the winter. Li Qinglan was not short of hazelnuts. She still had large quantities stored in her spatial dimension. Gathering more than she could sell would only take up storage space. She would rather go to the farm, fields later, and stimulate growth for stray grains of rice left behind after the harvest to stockpile more food. Having lived through an apocalypse, Li Qinglan understood food security all too well and had developed the habit of stockpiling supplies. Zhang Guilan and Wang Xiaozhen were overjoyed at the sight of the hazelnut grove. Pine cones were hard work for women with limited strength. Hazelnuts could be plucked straight off the branches with no climbing required. Mother, let us pick lots. We can roast them for the new year. Wang Xiaozhen was glad she had brought extra sacks that morning. Then stop daydreaming and get picking. Zhang Guilan shot her daughter a sharp look. All right, I am starting right now. Wang Xiaozhen grinned and set to work. Sister Zhang, you are too hard on your daughter. Girls do not need such strict discipline. Second Aunt Wang spoke up. Girls need strict upbringing most of all. Otherwise, who will marry them? Zhang Guilan's main hope for her daughter was a good marriage. Speaking of marriage, Xiaozhen is 18 now. It is time to find her a match. What about your Erhua? She is a year older than Xiaozhen. Erhua can wait. I will arrange her marriage once third son is wed. Second Aunt Wang worried about her daughter too, but tradition required the elder brother to marry first. Now that third son's engagement was settled, she could turn her attention to Erhua after the wedding at year end. Your children are all well behaved. Mine are nothing but trouble. Zhang Guilan sighed. Of her 3 children, only Wang Dashun was already married. Wang Xiaoshan was 23 and still idle and uninterested in settling down. Thank goodness he had a job, otherwise she would be beside herself with worry. My Erhua is also a handful. She is completely infatuated with that educated youth Lu and insists she wants to marry him. And my Xiaozhen has set her heart on educated youth Gu. It drives me mad. The 2 women kept exchanging complaints. growing more agitated by the minute. Wang Erhua and Wang Xiaozhen glanced at each other and lowered their heads shyly. Feng Lily stood by stunned. She had never realized Wang Xiaozhen had feelings for Gu Qinghuai. She hesitated over whether to warn Xiaozhen about Gu Qinghuai's true character to spare her from heartbreak. After thinking it over, she decided to speak up. Score, Keeper Xiaozhen, come here. I need to talk to you. Feng Lily beckoned her over. What is it, educated youth Feng? Wang Xiaozhen walked over confused. The two of them rarely spoke. I just heard you have feelings for Gu Qinghuai? How did you find out? I never told anyone. Wang Xiaozhen's face flushed bright red. Only her mother knew about her crush. I overheard your mother and second Aunt Wang talking. Rest assured I will keep it to myself. But Gu Qinghuai is not a good man. You should stay far away from him. Why would you say that? He is handsome, from a good family, and speaks gently. What is wrong with him? Wang Xiaozhen suspected Feng Lily was acting out of jealousy over their broken engagement. He is ungrateful and deceptive. Do not let his good looks fool you. Hatred colored Feng Lily's voice. You are only saying that because he broke off your engagement. Are you slandering him out of spite? Wang Xiaozhen grew angry. I am not slandering him. Every word is true. His own family proposed our engagement. Once my family fell on hard times, they insisted on calling it off. Worse still, he reported me, and I was nearly taken away by the political inspectors. Feng Lily grew more and more upset. She saw how blindly infatuated Wang Xiaozhen was, just as she had once been. How can you be certain it was Gu Qinghuai? It could have been someone else in the village. Who else could it have been? He was the only one who traveled to town that day. I do not believe you. Educated youth Gu is not capable of such a thing. Why will you not listen? The facts are right in front of you. You are being so foolish. Feng Lily was cut off mid-sentence when second Aunt Wang walked over. Educated youth Feng, what are you arguing about with Xiaozhen? We are not arguing at all. Feng Lily shook her head. She had only tried to give well-meant advice, yet Xiaozhen refused to accept it. Good. Li Qinglan has gone over to pick hazelnuts. You should go join her. Second Aunt Wang had guessed what had happened. She sent Feng Lily away to prevent further conflict. Given her personal history with Gu Qinghuai, anything she said would sound biased. All right, I am going. I was so caught up talking to the score keeper I did not notice Qinglan had left. Feng Lily scratched her head in embarrassment and walked off. Once Feng Lily was gone, second Aunt Wang pulled Wang Erhua aside. She could not control other people's daughters, but she would do her best to keep her own daughter from being deceived by an educated youth. Wang Xiaozhen paid no heed to what Feng Lily had said. They were rivals in love, after all, and no one would take a rival's words seriously. Zhang Guolan had witnessed the whole scene and gained a new understanding of her daughter's stubbornness. She had said all she needed to say and tried every persuasion she could. Now she could only let her daughter make her own choices. Back at the educated youth quarters that night, Feng Lily told Li Qinglan what had happened between herself and Wang Xiaozhen that day. Qinglan, do you think that score keeper is out of her mind? I told her what Gu Qinghuai has done, so why is she still fond of him? You told Wang Xiaozhen about Gu Qinghuai? Li Qinglan looked quite surprised. When had that happened? She had known nothing of it. Yes, up on the mountain today. I told her everything Gu Qinghuai did to me. But she wouldn't believe me and said I was lying. Feng Lily sounded aggrieved. She was telling the truth, so why would Wang Xiaozhen refuse to believe her? You can hardly blame Wang Xiaozhen. You were once Gu Qinghuai's fiancé, so you two are rivals in love. Few people would trust what a rival says, especially when you warned her to stay away from him. We are not rivals at all. I don't have feelings for Gu Qinghuai anymore, Feng Lily hastened to explain. Back in the capital city, Gu Qinghuai had catered to her every whim to win her favor. But after coming down to the countryside, he had changed completely. He had grown cold toward her once he took a fancy to Chen Lijun, and that had made her thoroughly give up on him. I believe you, but Wang Xiaozhen certainly won't. Let it go. Just focus on your own life. You cannot wake someone who chooses to remain asleep. Even her mother has advised her time and again, yet she still insists on having her own way. Feng Lily got along well with Zhang Guolan, but she could not bring herself to like Wang Xiaozhen. It might have been their different temperaments. Wang Xiaozhen was far too strong-willed, always hoping to change her fate through marriage. If Gu Qinghuai were a reliable man, that would be one thing, but he was nothing short of a hypocrite. Li Qinglan suspected that in the book, Wang Xiaozhen would fall victim to Lu Zhenhua's schemes, with Gu Qinghuai playing a part in it too, I see. I meddled in something that was none of my business today. By the way, Qinglan, I heard the village is going to show a movie in a couple of days. Is that true? Having let off steam to Li Qinglan, Feng Lily quickly changed the subject. I've heard the same. It should be after the public grain tax has been delivered. Stay in the village those few days. Gu Qinghuai would be busy with the grain delivery then, and Li Qinglan would not be able to keep an eye on Feng Lily all day long. The production team leader told me to. I am not allowed to leave the village for the rest of this year. Feng Lily sounded dejected. She had hoped to take the mountain goods she had collected to the city for Uncle He and ask him to send some of them to her parents. It is not so bad staying here. If you need anything bought, just tell me and I will get it for you. Thank you, Qinglan. Could you bring back the food you stashed away for me? I have been craving something nice to eat lately. Feng Lily stuck out her tongue in embarrassment. She had meant to give Li Qinglan those things, yet now she was asking for them back. I will bring the food tonight, along with some of your money. But I need to give your thick quilt and cotton, padded clothes to Aunt Wang Er so she can alter them for you. Last time she had rushed off with the belongings and forgotten to leave Feng Lily food and pocket money. Thank you so much, Qinglan. You are so good to me. Enough of your flattery. Go and get dinner ready. Li Qinglan rubbed her stomach. She had worked hard all day and was feeling hungry. Meanwhile, Hu Xiaomei slipped over to Chen Lijun's dormitory while the other educated youths were out. Chen Lijun grew nervous when she saw Hu Xiaomei. They rarely spoke to one another, so her sudden visit took her by surprise. Hu, is there something you need? Don't be so jumpy. I am not going to hurt you. I came to talk about living arrangements. Pardon? Chen Lijun stared at her, confused by what she had just heard. I want to move in and share this room with you. Rest assured, I will not take advantage of you. I will pay half the rent and contribute my share of firewood and grain. You want to move in with me? Chen Lijun's eyes went wide in disbelief. What trick was Hu Xiaomei planning this time? Yes. Living alone must get lonely, especially during the cold winter months. Wouldn't you like some company? Hu Xiaomei avoided mentioning her falling out with the senior educated youths and brought up the long cold winter instead. But I am not used to living with others. Perhaps it is better not to. In Chen Lijun's mind, Hu Xiaomei was like a ticking time bomb. I know you're afraid I will mistreat you. I give you my word. I will never shout at you or lay a hand on you. Hu Xiaomei had not expected her past behavior to leave such deep-seated fear in Chen Lijun. Back then she had only lost her temper and tried to put Chen Lijun in her place, never imagining it would backfire so badly on herself. Then let us draw up an agreement. If you ever bully me, you must move out immediately and forfeit the rent you have paid. After some thought, Chen Lijun gave in. She simply could not gather enough firewood to get through the winter on her own. If she kept living by herself, she would struggle badly when the cold set in. Agreed. You have my word. Hu Xiaomei was well aware of Chen Lijun's worries. She had a fiery temper, but she did not lash out at everyone. As her roommate, she would not harm Chen Lijun. She would look out for her. They ought to stand by each other instead of turning against one another. Once the agreement was signed, Hu Xiaomei moved into Chen Lijun's room that very night. Chen Yinghua objected strongly, yet there was nothing she could do. She only regretted that she would no longer get to eat Hu Xiaomei's cooking. Little did she know that without Hu Xiaomei around, her easy days were coming to an end. The small amount of firewood the other young women had gathered would never last them through the whole winter. At first, Chen Lijun feared they would not get along. But when she woke the next morning and saw breakfast and hot water already prepared on the table, her opinion of Hu Xiaomei softened. She had a bad temper, but she was hard, working, and capable. With someone else to share the housework, life would be much easier for her. Time passed quickly, and the day to deliver the public grain tax arrived. Early in the morning, villagers gathered on the threshing ground with their hand carts. The educated youths had no carts of their own and had to carry grain loads on shoulder poles. The village tractor shuttled back and forth, making several trips throughout the day. Because of her great strength, the production team leader assigned Li Qinglan to work alongside the village's strongest men loading and unloading grain. Li, why has the team leader put you to work with us again? Wang Dajuan frowned when he saw her among the men. A young girl spending all her time with men would ruin her reputation and hurt her marriage prospects. It is fine. I earn work points no matter where I work. Li Qinglan was used to heavy labor and hardly felt tired. Carrying sacks of grain was less strenuous than working out in the fields. I will ask my mother to speak to the team leader and get you reassigned. Spending so much time around men will not look good for you. Thank you, Brother Dajuan. Li Qinglan was grateful to the Wang family. They had helped her many times since she had come to the countryside. Stand further back. Do not take on every heavy task. Wang Dajun gestured for her to keep to the rear of the group. No one else overheard their exchange as everyone kept their heads down and labored away. The tractor completed a round trip in under 1.5 hours. The porters had grueling work. Even Li Qinglan, strong as she was, ached all over by day's end. The other strong laborers fared even worse and collapsed onto the ground once work finished. Feng Lily had also been kept busy recording grain quantities in the storehouse, her mind full of numbers. The other educated youths returned utterly worn out. The usually lively quarters fell quiet. Gu Qinghuai had bad luck that day. He had shouldered an extremely heavy load and nearly strained his waist on the road. Back at the quarters, he lay straight on the kang and asked Wang Jiwei to rub medicinal liniment into his injury. Wang Jiwei, have you not eaten? Press harder. I am exhausted too. It is already kind of me to help you at all. Wang Jiwei grew annoyed at the complaint. Fine, let Li Nan do it instead. Seeing Wang Jiwei's anger, Gu Qinghuai turned to someone else. I am worn out as well. Why do you not do it yourself? Li Nan refused without hesitation. He wanted no part of such thankless work. What has got into you too? If I could reach my own injury, I would not be asking for help. Gu Qinghuai lost his temper and glared at them, turning his head away. Wang Jiwei and Li Nan exchanged glances and shook their heads. They knew they had angered Gu Qinghuai, yet they no longer felt inclined to humor him. Ever since they learned he had reported Feng Lily to the authorities, they had lost all respect for him. The Feng family had done a great deal for the Wang, Li and Gu families, yet Gu Qinghuai had repaid kindness with betrayal. They still did not know the Gu family had played a role in the Feng family's misfortunes. Had they known, they would have kept even further away from Gu Qinghuai. Once the public grain tax was delivered, the villagers were granted a holiday. On the second day of the break, a mobile film screening team arrived in Date Village. Villagers spread the joyful news far and wide. The film would be shown in the evening, and by the afternoon people were already carrying stools over to the threshing ground to claim good seats. The educated youths in the front courtyard of the quarters followed suit. They finished supper early and headed over to wait for the show to start. Only those living in the back courtyard stayed behind. Feng Lily and Qin Lijun had watched many films back in the capital and felt little excitement over a village screening. Wang Jiwei and Li Nan were simply too tired to join the crowd. As for Gu Qinghuai, he had other plans in mind. Li Qinglan also had no interest in the film. If she wanted to watch movies, she had files stored in her spatial ring from her past life. She cooked and ate supper at her usual hour, then pulled a chair outside to enjoy the cool evening air. Noise drifted over from the threshing ground, the chatter of the crowd mixed with sound from the film. Annoyed by the racket, Li Qinglan decided to go for a walk by herself, leaving Feng Lily behind. Before she realized it, she had wandered near Widow Wang's house. She was about to turn back when she heard voices coming from inside. Most of the village's young people were at the film screening, so only Widow Wang ought to be at home. Recalling recent village gossip, she grew curious and crept closer. Be gentle. Do not let anyone find us. Widow Wang's voice came from within. There is no need to fear. Everyone is off watching the film. No one will notice us, replied a man's low, hushed voice. Be careful not to leave marks on my neck. It would be hard to explain to Taiju. I cannot help myself. You are so captivating tonight. Muffled sounds of close interaction continued from inside the room. Li Qinglan felt she ought not to listen any longer and prepared to leave. Just then she saw a group of people carrying torches marching angrily toward the house. She ducked quickly behind cover, her curiosity piqued. Had they come to catch them in the act? As they drew near, she recognized the leader as Widow Wang's sister-in-law. Li Qinglan watched intently. If the sister-in-law had brought people here, then the man inside must be her own husband's younger brother. It was just like scenes she remembered from period novels, something scandalous always unfolded on film, screening nights. With a loud crash, the door was kicked open. All noise inside fell silent. Everyone's eyes fell on the two people on the kang. Wang Chunhua, you shameless woman. How dare you seduce your brother-in-law? Have you no shame? Young Hongmei trembled with rage, ready to fly at them both. Hongmei, calm down. Get everyone outside before we make a spectacle of ourselves. Wang Dashan frowned and hastily pulled a quilt over Wang Chunhua. You two have no decency left. A sister-in-law and her husband's brother together. Have you no fear of retribution? Yang Hongmei's fury burned hot. This humiliation was more than she could bear. Brother-in-law, I am sorry. I never wished to take your wife's place. I only ask that you visit me from time to time. Wang Chunhua glanced tenderly toward Wang Dashan, softening his heart. Yang Hongmei, take your family and get out of here. Do not force me to be harsh. Wang Dashan waved her away, his eyes full of distaste. Deeply hurt by his attitude, Yang Hongmei ran off in tears. Her relatives followed, reproaching Wang Dashan. Dashan, how could you treat your wife this way? She has born and raised your children. This is outrageous. You must apologize to Hongmei, or we will disown you as our son-in-law. Have you given any thought to your children? You are being utterly selfish. One rebuke followed another. Silence. If you refuse to leave, I will divorce Hongmei tomorrow. We shall see how your daughters fare on the marriage market then. At those words, the Yang family fell stunned. They had not expected him to go so far as to divorce his wife for the widow. You heartless wretch. I will fight you. Yang's father lunged forward, only to be restrained by his wife. Husband, do not act rashly. Let us go home and talk this over. She feared Wang Dashan really would go through with the divorce, bringing lasting shame to their whole family. Several of their daughters were still unmarried. Scandal would ruin their chances of finding husbands. Gritting his teeth, Yang's father reluctantly left with his wife. Once the Yang family were gone, Wang Dashan shut the door. He showed no remorse, only self-satisfaction. He had known the Yangs would never let their daughter get divorced, and that emboldened him to carry on his affair with his brother's widow. She had been his first love. Even when his elder brother had been alive, their secret flirtations had thrilled him. He was genuinely fond of Yang Hongmei too, and dreamed the two women might somehow get along. Hidden outside, Li Qinglan felt disappointed that no fight had broken out. Wang Dashan's wish to keep both women struck her as thoroughly contemptible. Still, it was none of her business. If Yang Hongmei, his wife, chose to endure it, an outsider like her ought not to interfere. Once the visitors were gone, the two inside the house resumed their private conversation. Dashan, are we doing the right thing? Wang Chunhua nestled against him. Hongmei will never agree to a divorce. Still, I must soothe her, lest she report us. Wang Dashan was confident he could pacify his wife. He reveled in the thought of two women competing for him. I know. I truly love you. I ask for no formal status, only to stay with you. Wang Chunhua was 5 years older than Wang Dashan. She had worked hard to win him over when he was only 18. She had no wish for marriage. Things were fine as they were. Poor Chunhua. You deserve better. I want for nothing, as long as you do not betray me. But our son Taiju is growing up. You must find him a good wife. Her greatest worry was her boy. Many families shied away from a young man with a widow for a mother. Leave that to me. I will try to secure him a proper job before the year ends. A steady position will make it easy for him to find a bride. Wang Dashan cared for Taiju, for he was his own flesh and blood son. Thank you, Dashan. Show me your gratitude tonight. Soft private murmurs continued behind closed doors. The film did not finish until past 8 o'clock. By the time the other educated youths returned, Li Qinglan was already asleep. She told no one what she had witnessed. Since Yang Hongmei herself had not spoken out, it was not her place as an outsider to spread gossip. On the third day after delivering the public grain tax, grain rations were distributed. Unlike everyone else, Li Qinglan saw no reason to rush over at dawn with sacks in hand. Educated youths received their shares last. Arriving too early meant nothing but waiting in vain, so she stayed home and rested. Qinglan, have you heard the team leader calling for the grain distribution? Feng Lily saw Li Qinglan eating breakfast calmly and assumed she had not got the news. I heard. There is no hurry. We can go this afternoon. There were more than 200 households in the village. The educated youths would not be served until late in the day. Aren't you anxious? Feng Lily stared at her in surprise. All the other educated youths had already lined up. No rush. We'll get our grain sooner or later. It makes no difference whether we go early or late. It was only some grain, and Li Qinglan did not care much about it. She was an educated youth assigned to Dade Village, and the production brigade captain would never dare to embezzle her grain. That's true. Then I'll stay in the dorm with you. Feng Lily also had no desire to stand in the long queue. The two of them could keep each other company and fight boredom. Why are you in such a hurry over your work points? You won't get much grain anyway. Why bother queuing? I just wanted to see if I could buy some extra grain. What I earn from my work, points will definitely not be enough to feed me. Feng Lily knew full well her own situation. Even in the best case, she would only receive 100 jin of grain from her work points. That amount would never last until the next autumn harvest. It would barely get her through the new year. Give your money to the brigade captain and ask him to buy grain on your behalf. Given your status, you cannot purchase fine grain yourself. You can only get coarse grain. Li Qinglan had long wanted to remind Feng Lily, but had never found the right moment. For educated youths like them, grain allocations were 70% fine grain and 30% coarse grain. Feng Lily's situation was different. She would be lucky to get 10% fine grain, the rest would all be coarse grain. All right. I'll go find him in a little while. Feng Lily nodded. She really had not thought things through that far. Though what had happened to her parents had not directly harmed her, her status was no longer what it had once been. Don't go straight to the brigade captain. Look for his wife instead. She knows how to handle these matters. The captain was overseeing the grain distribution right now. Approaching him openly would easily arouse villagers' suspicion toward him. Understood. I'm going now. Li Qinglan had thought she would be the last educated youth to collect her grain, yet she ended up being the third. She had worked half a year less than the senior educated youths, but her work points still ranked fairly high among the youth. Apart from Wang Aigua and Hu Xiaomei, everyone else had pitifully few work points. The village had enjoyed a decent harvest that year. One work point was worth 7 fen. Corn kernels cost 5 fen per jin, fine grain 10 fen per jin, sweet potatoes and potatoes 1 fen per jin, and miscellaneous grains 5 fen per jin. Educated youths received grain under a 70-30 split, 70% fine grain and 30% coarse grain. Hu Xiaomei took 200 jin of corn kernels, 500 jin of sweet potatoes, 200 jin of potatoes, 100 jin of rice, 50 jin of wheat, 50 jin of soybeans, and 5 jin of mung beans. After deducting the cost of her grain, she was left with 6 yuan and 7 fen. Wang Aigua, being male, had a larger appetite than the women. He took 800 jin of corn kernels, 100 jin of rice, 100 jin of wheat, 1,000 jin of sweet potatoes, and 200 jin of potatoes. After paying for his grain, he only had 11 yuan remaining. Li Qinglan's work points were still considerably fewer than theirs. She had only 915 work points, equivalent to 64 yuan and 5 fen. She took 500 jin of corn kernels, 100 jin of rice, 100 jin of wheat, 500 jin of sweet potatoes, 300 jin of potatoes, 50 jin of soybeans, and 10 jin of mung beans. After grain expenses, she was left with merely 8 yuan. The other educated youths fared even worse. Chen Yinghua and some others who had worked a full year only accumulated around 800 work points and ended up with no cash left once grain was deducted. Among the newly arrived educated youths, Li Qinglan was the only one who did not owe the production brigade money. Chen Lijun and Feng Lily owed the most. To everyone's surprise, Gu Qinghuai's work points were almost as low as theirs. After 2 months of labor, he had earned only about 300 work points, averaging roughly 5 work points each day. That day brought joy to some and sorrow to others. Those with ample grain could cook a pot of dry rice to celebrate in the evening, while those short on supplies had to make do with wild vegetables and thin congee. Following grain distribution, villagers began slaughtering their pigs one after another. The weather was growing colder by the day and snow would arrive soon. If they waited any longer, the pigs would freeze to death. When Aunt Wang Er slaughtered her pig, Li Qinglan went over to help. She bought a set of pig offal and marrow bones, but no pork. She still had wild boar meat stored in her spatial dimension. She would find a chance to go up the mountain and slaughter a couple more before long. Feng Lily secretly bought some pork and 2 pig's trotters, planning to cure them for later consumption. Li Qinglan's vegetable garden was ready for harvest. Her radishes had grown plump and white, and her Chinese cabbages were fresh and crisp, looking extremely appetizing. Once she had gathered her cabbages and radishes, she set about pickling sour cabbage and drying radish strips. Li Qinglan had prepared pickling vats long beforehand. She washed the cabbages and let them dry thoroughly, then layered cabbage and salt inside the vats, weighing everything down with large stones. Loving spicy flavors, she added some chili peppers to improve the taste and boost the appetite. After finishing the sour cabbage, she started preparing dried radish strips. The process was simple: slice the radishes into strips, dry them in the sun, and rub them with salt. She kept busy for several days until all the work was done. Satisfied with her stockpiles, she believed her supplies would last her quite some time. It was her first winter in the Northeast, so she had prepared generously, fearful of running short of food. She had just heated water and was about to head up the mountain to slaughter wild boar when Aunt Wang-er arrived bearing unexpected news. "Comradely, pack your things quickly. I'm taking you to the market." "The market? I thought it wasn't supposed to open until just before the new year. Why has it moved up all of a sudden?" Li Qinglan was quite surprised. Aunt Wang-er had previously told her the market would be held right before New Year. "I don't know the reason myself. This year's market has been brought forward. Hurry and get ready, we're leaving soon." Aunt Wang-er still had goods to sell at the market. Having said that, she hurried back to make her own preparations. Li Qinglan had little to pack. She changed her clothes and went to fetch Feng Lily. She intended to go to the market together with Feng Lily, Chen Lijun and the others. Aunt Wang-er would be occupied selling her wares and could not keep them company. As soon as Feng Lily heard about the market, she immediately pulled Li Qinglan to set off. Cooped up indoors these past few days, she was eager to get some fresh air. On their way out, they knocked on Chen Lijun's door, but Chen Lijun and Hu Xiaomei were not in the dormitory, so the two of them left without them. The market lay at the border between Dade Village and the neighboring village, not far away. They walked for 20 minutes before arriving. The market bustled with crowds, mostly villagers from surrounding hamlets. "Qinglan, look. There are candied hawthorn sticks over there. Let's go take a look." Feng Lily's eyes lit up at the sight. She had not eaten any in a very long time and was craving them. "You go buy some. I'll go ask the price for those old laying hens over there." The candied hawthorn stall stood right next to the poultry vendor. They could continue wandering after finishing their purchases. "All right, I'm going now." Feng Lily nodded and squeezed into the throng of people. Li Qinglan squatted down in front of the young girl selling hens. "Little comrade, how much are your old laying hens?" 3 yuan each, no bargaining, the girl replied with a blank expression. "If I buy all 3 hens, can I have the wooden cage as well?" Li Qinglan pointed at the cage holding the chickens. "Without it, transporting 3 hens would be troublesome." "Very well. That comes to 9 yuan in total." The girl agreed. Li Qinglan paid the money, took the hens, and stood waiting for Feng Lily. The candied hawthorn stall was surrounded mostly by children. Standing among them, Feng Lily stood out quite noticeably. At that moment, Li Qinglan noticed a middle-aged woman quietly edge up beside Feng Lily. Frowning, Li Qinglan studied her closely. This person was far taller and sturdier than an ordinary woman, and her movements looked unnatural. Her broad hips and thick limbs did not match a typical woman's build. The more Li Qinglan observed, the stranger things felt. Could this actually be a man disguised as a woman? Alarmed by this possibility, she kept a sharp eye on Feng Lily. She had brought Feng Lily out here. If anything happened to her, Li Qinglan would bear full responsibility. Then the disguised figure said something to Feng Lily. Feng Lily meekly turned and followed the stranger away. Li Qinglan hurried after them, afraid of losing sight of the pair. The disguised person led Feng Lily along the main road until they stopped before a dilapidated temple. "Auntie, you said Uncle He wanted to see me. Where is he?" Feng Lily was growing anxious. If Uncle He really wished to meet her, he would never arrange a rendezvous in such a desolate spot. "Your Uncle He is inside this temple. Come on, go in with me." "That cannot be right. Uncle He would never ask me to meet him in such a remote place." "Who exactly are you?" Feng Lily finally sensed danger. She had never seen this woman before and did not know her at all. "You are sharp-witted, but it is far too late. You will pay for this. If it were not for people like you, my identity would never have been exposed." Pulling a dagger from her clothing, the disguised person lunged toward Feng Lily. Help! Qinglan, save me!" Feng Lily screamed. Startled, Li Qinglan nearly missed her throw with a stone she had picked up. Thanks to her well-practiced aim, however, the rock did not strike Feng Lily. With a heavy thud, the stone hit the disguised person's wrist, and the dagger clattered to the ground. "Lily, bite them and kick hard toward their lower body," Li Qinglan shouted. She had previously taught Feng Lily basic self-defense techniques, and now was the moment to put them into practice. Following those instructions, Feng Lily delivered a forceful kick to the disguised attacker's lower body. You vicious girls. I will kill you." The disguised person doubled over in sharp pain. He had grown overconfident and failed to notice he was being followed. Feng Lily quickly scrambled behind Li Qinglan, terrified by the ferocity in the attacker's eyes. Don't be afraid. You struck a vital area. He cannot hurt you for the moment. You did really well. You did not just break down in tears like you used to. Li Qinglan was now certain this was a man wearing women's clothing. No ordinary village woman could be so powerfully built. What? He is a man. Feng Lily stared in shock, completely fooled by the disguise. Yes. Did you not notice how large and stocky he is? Look at his hands too. They are coarse and big. Li Qinglan kept her gaze fixed on him. She suspected this man was an accomplice of the trafficker who had previously targeted Feng Lily and Qin Lijun. After that earlier incident, public security in Harbin had been tightened. This man must have had nowhere left to hide and resorted to cross-dressing to evade capture. Encountering Feng Lily was pure chance, otherwise he would not have acted without proper reconnaissance. You meddlesome woman. If not for you, I would have finished her off and escaped from here. Gritting his teeth, the man glared at Li Qinglan, burning with the urge to attack. Still, he knew he could not defeat her, so he held back, searching for a chance to flee. You traitor to the nation. You are unworthy of speaking to me. Li Qinglan had no intention of letting him get away. Yet with Feng Lily present, she could not take direct action. Mark my words. I will get revenge on both of you. He threw a punch at Li Qinglan. While she dodged, he turned and fled toward the mountains. Li Qinglan made no attempt to give chase. She watched his retreating figure with a cold, knowing smile. The direction he was running led straight into the hills. Once he was deep in the mountains, his fate would rest entirely in her hands. Qinglan, you saved my life again. Feng Lily threw her arms around Li Qinglan and wept in relief. Moments earlier she had nearly lost her life. Without Li Qinglan's timely intervention, the dagger would have pierced her body. Now, stop crying. Go wait for me by the road junction. Li Qinglan had spotted something odd inside the ruined temple and wanted to investigate. Please come back quickly. I am frightened being alone. After what she had just endured, Feng Lily dared not stay by herself. Plenty of people pass by that junction. Shout for help loudly if anyone threatens you. All right. Please hurry back. Reluctantly, Feng Lily left to wait at the intersection. Shortly after stepping into the dilapidated temple, Li Qinglan found an entrance to an underground chamber. She pushed aside a large Buddha statue, revealing a set of stone steps behind it. Descending the stairs, she entered a hidden cellar. The room was small, only a dozen square meters. Inside stood a table, a narrow bed, and simple daily necessities. Footprints on the dirt floor confirmed this was the fugitive's temporary hideout. Truly, spies were like rats scurrying in the dark, fit only for underground holes. Searching beneath the bed, Li Qinglan found two small chests. Without opening them, she placed both into her spatial dimension. She searched the rest of the cellar thoroughly and discovered 2 handguns plus 2 boxes of ammunition concealed in a secret niche. Since Feng Lily was waiting for her outside, she did not linger. Once she had secured the items she wanted, she left the underground room. As for the fugitive, tangled mountain vines had already trapped him to a tree. Having arrived in this new world, Li Qinglan did not wish to kill directly. She left him there to face whatever fate awaited him. Nights were turning bitterly cold. He might well not survive until morning. Leaving the temple, Li Qinglan hurried to rejoin Feng Lily at the junction. Qinglan, you are finally back. I was so worried. Seeing Li Qinglan safe and sound, Feng Lily heaved a huge sigh of relief. She had been on tenterhooks the whole time. I am fine. I tried to track where that man ran off to, but I could not catch up. Thank goodness you are safe. Should we go back to the market? Feng Lily had bought almost nothing before being lured away, and she still hoped to do some shopping. Let's go then. All that commotion made me miss my shopping too. While chasing Feng Lily earlier, Li Qinglan had stored her 3 newly bought hens inside her spatial dimension. She would find a secluded spot later to bring them out. I am so sorry. It was foolish of me to follow a stranger. Rest assured, I will never do such a thing again. Feng Lily shuddered thinking of how close she had come to death. Without Li Qinglan, she would be dead. You have learned your lesson. Do not be so gullible from now on. If Uncle He truly wished to see you, he would never send a stranger to deliver a message. Because of their ordeal, a lot of time had passed. By the time they returned to the market, most vendors had already packed up and gone home. Qinglan, should I buy some Chinese cabbage? Feng Lily had watched Li Qinglan pickle cabbage and wanted to stock up for the long winter ahead. Do not buy it here. Aunt Wang Er has plenty at her house. She also has radishes and various dried vegetables for sale. Li Qinglan knew Aunt Wang Er had grown abundant produce intended for market. Good idea. I wonder if there are any eggs left. I have not eaten eggs in ages. They are probably all sold out. I saw people selling them when we first arrived. Li Qinglan herself had more than enough eggs. Wild bird eggs she had gathered deep in the mountains remained untouched. Oh well. I will ask Wang Jiwei to help me barter for some back in the village. Feng Lily had grown wiser. She preferred letting Wang Jiwei handle such transactions for her to avoid being overcharged or taken advantage of. Near the far end of the market, they chanced upon a vendor selling game. 2 pheasants and 2 hares lay on his stall. Sweat glistened on the man. He must have just come down from the mountains. Comrade, how much for the hares? Pheasants are 1 yuan 50 fin each, hares 2 yuan each. Eager to sell quickly, his prices were reasonable. Qinglan, shall we split them between us? Feng Lily's eyes lit up. It was rare to find fresh meat for sale. You buy them for yourself. Cure them and preserve them as smoked meat for spring. Li Qinglan already had plenty of game stored away and saw no need to purchase more. Very well. Feng Lily nodded, then turned toward the seller. Comrade, I will take both hares and both pheasants. Can I have that worn cloth bag as well? Certainly. 2 pheasants and 2 hares come to 7 yuan total. The vendor stuffed the game into the bag, delighted by such a generous customer. Feng Lily handed over the money and took hold of her purchases. All things considered, their trip to the market had been fruitful. Li Qinglan had acquired 3 laying hens, 2 bolts of homespun coarse cloth, more than 10 bamboo baskets, and various vegetable seeds. Apart from the hens bought early on, most of these goods had been sold to her cheaply as leftover stock. Feng Lily bought vegetable seeds, 3 bolts of coarse cloth, a carrying basket, plus the hares and pheasants. They got back to the educated youth dormitory past 4 in the afternoon. The other residents were already cooking supper. When Hu Xiaomei saw Li Qinglan return, she brought over a bowl of her homemade spicy pickled cabbage to chat. Comrade Li, did you and Comrade Feng go to the big market today? Yes, we just got back. Why did I not see you and Qin Lijun there? Qin Lijun and I were out bartering for cabbages. By the time we heard about the market, it was already too late. Hu Xiaomei had planted cabbages and radishes herself, yet she had to share them with the senior educated youths, leaving her with very little. There were cabbages and radishes for sale at the market. You two might as well have bought some there. Really? Then Qin Lijun and I will head there tomorrow. Did you buy all those bamboo baskets and coarse cloth at the market too? Hu Xiaomei glanced curiously at the goods stacked behind the door. Why buy so many bamboo baskets? Yes. Baskets are perfect for storage. Cloth bags are inconvenient for many things. Li Qinglan regarded the dormitory as her home. She would be living here for several years to come. Better supplies would make daily life far more comfortable. You buy more household goods than anyone else among us. Are you planning never to return to the city? Chances are none of us will be going back for the next 3 to 5 years. We might as well make our lives as comfortable as possible. That is true. Only a handful of return permits are issued every year. No one knows when our turn will come. When Hu Xiaomei first came to the countryside, she had clung to hopes of returning to the city. Now she simply tried to get through each day as best she could. You don't have to be so pessimistic. Maybe you'll be able to return to the city soon. Recalling the plot of the novel, Li Qinglan knew Hu Xiaomei was supposed to go back in 1976. Yet, even after returning home, her fate would be far from good. Her parents valued sons over daughters. Right after she got back to town, her father forced her to marry the foolish son of the Revolutionary Committee director in exchange for a job for her youngest brother. What good would going back do? I doubt there would even be a place for me to stay. Thinking of her biased parents, Hu Xiaomei felt no longing for home at all. Then make the most of your time in Dave Village. When times get better, you can leave for Shanghai or Guangdong. Li Qinglan already had plans of her own. When the college entrance examinations resumed, she intended to apply to universities in Yangqing and settle down in Guangdong long term. She would visit Beijing for travel, but never live there permanently. Guangdong is more than 3,000 kilometers away from northeast China. I've never thought about living somewhere that far. Aren't you from Beijing? Will you go back someday? I won't. My grandparents are gone, and my father has started a new family. I won't intrude on his life. Once there's a stepmother, there's bound to be a stepfather. You've had it rough. Hu Xiaomei had already pictured Li Qinglan being bullied by her stepmother in her mind, and she felt genuine sympathy for her. Don't look at me with that pitying expression. I'm not to be pitied. My grandparents loved me deeply. We were poor, but I never lacked affection. That was true. She only lacked money, not love. Haha, comradely, you're really something. It's getting late. Go fix your dinner. I'd better head back for mine too. Hu Xiaomei ate with Chen Lijun and the others. They took turns cooking every day. Thanks for the spicy cabbage you brought me. If I like it, could you teach me how to make it? Sure thing. It's really simple. I'll have you master it in one lesson. Hu Xiaomei had learned the recipe from local ethnic minority villagers whose pickles and spicy cabbage tasted wonderful. Thank you in advance. If you're going to the market tomorrow, set off early. By late morning, there won't be much left to buy. Tomorrow would be the second day of the market and crowds would be even larger. Arriving late, one might not even squeeze through the throng. Only nearby villagers had come today, but word would spread, bringing people from the commune tomorrow. The next day, instead of going to the market with Hu Xiaomei and the others, Li Qinglan slipped quietly deep into the mountains alone. Further into the pine forest, she had found previously lay a small waterfall. She had heard its sound while gathering hazelnuts before, but had never found time to explore. Snow would fall any day now. She had to hurry into the mountains to process the game stored in her spatial dimension. She also hoped to spot wild goats. She was craving mutton. Thinking of that, she quickened her pace. Traveling alone with no one to slow her down, she moved swiftly. In less than an hour, she reached the pine forest. The pine wood stood bare now. All needles had fallen, leaving only trunks behind. Few pine cones remained, scattered sparsely among the branches. She walked nearly 2 kilometers past the pine trees and finally spotted the small waterfall. It was not large, yet its water ran clear, feeding a small pool below. Li Qinglan knelt by the pool and splashed cold water on her face. The clean water was perfect for butchering game. To stay safe, she used her special ability to scan several kilometers of surrounding terrain. Confident no dangerous beasts lurked nearby, she set to work. She took out 3 iron stoves and 3 large iron pots she had acquired in rural markets in her past life. Back then, people thought these heavy iron items took up too much space and discarded them. Her spacious spatial dimension had made them easy to keep, and now they served their purpose. Firewood lay everywhere on the mountainside, and she soon had roaring fires going. Once the water boiled, she began slaughtering wild boars. Time stood still inside her spatial dimension. The wild boars she had stored remained warm, exactly as they had been when killed. She brought out several large vats to catch the blood. Before long, more than a dozen wild boars had been bled. Next she wielded a kitchen knife to scrape off coarse boar bristles. Though far tougher than domestic pig hair, her great strength made quick work of it. She gutted each carcass and removed the internal organs. Disgusted by the offal from these omnivorous animals, she set them aside, planning to bury them in a pit later. She fetched more than a dozen plastic baskets and began cutting the pork into portions by cuts of meat, packing them neatly into the baskets. Once the boars were dealt with, she processed wild cattle and deer. By the time she finished, it was past 1 o'clock in the afternoon. One of the large iron pots simmered with beef stew, its rich aroma making her stomach rumble and her mouth water. She did not have much pre-cooked food left in her space, merely 20 steamed buns and a pot of millet congee. She ate 2 buns and a bowl of congee to quiet her hunger. After eating and resting briefly, she got back to work. The other 2 stoves sat idle. She decided to simmer a big bone broth and cook a huge pot of braised pork. During the long winter months indoors, these ready-made dishes would be convenient and would help hide the fact that she had access to so much meat. Time flew as she labored. It was already past 4 in the afternoon. She doused the fires, washed the stoves and pots, and stored everything back inside her dimension. She had been fortunate today. Aside from pheasants and hares, no large animals had crossed her path. At first, she had stayed tense, wary of wild boars and tigers. Gradually, she relaxed her guard. By the time she descended the mountain, dusk had fallen. She hoisted a load of pine cones and hurried toward the educated youth compound. The pine cones came from her spatial dimension. Returning empty, handed after a full day in the hills would surely arouse suspicion. She got back before dark. Feng Lily and Hu Xiaomei immediately gathered around her. Sister Qinglan, why didn't you ask me to come up the mountain with you today? Feng Lily looked at her reproachfully. She had gone looking for Li Qinglan earlier, only to find her gone. I was just wandering around. The deep mountains are too dangerous for you. If wolves showed up, I couldn't guarantee your safety. Li Qinglan could not take Feng Lily along every time. She had private business to attend to. The deep hills held real risks and she would not take chances. All right then. Please be careful. Don't keep venturing so far into the mountains. Feng Lily knew she would be a burden and did not insist. Living alone at the compound simply made her uneasy. Don't worry. Next time I only go to nearby slopes, I'll bring you along. Li Qinglan patted her shoulder and smiled in reassurance. You two get along so well. I'm a little envious, Hu Xiaomei said, seizing her chance to speak. You and Chen Lijun get along well too. Cherish that friendship. There is no need for envy. Li Qinglan's feelings toward Feng Lily were complicated. Self-interest played some part in her friendliness. The Feng family would wield tremendous influence in the military in the future. After his rehabilitation, Feng Lily's father would become the top commander of the Beijing military region. Her 3 brothers would also achieve great feats on the battlefield. As the beloved daughter of the household, Feng Lily was worth befriending to smooth Li Qinglan's future path. Sigh. I quarreled with Li Jun because of my bad temper. Now she still holds it against me. Hu Xiaomei regretted how she had treated the new educated youth. If she had known she would one day need something from Qin Lijun, she would never have acted that way. Was it just a bad temper? I think you deliberately picked on us when we first arrived. Feng Lily spoke her mind without hesitation. Hu Xiaomei was caught off guard and fell speechless. She had not expected such blunt words with no consideration for her feelings. All right, Lily, that's enough, Li Qinglan cut in, fearing Hu Xiaomei would lose her temper. It's fine. Comrade Feng certainly speaks her mind, Hu Xiaomei laughed awkwardly. She knew she was in the wrong and could not complain. She is still young and speaks without filtering her thoughts. Please do not take offense, Li Qinglan said on Feng Lily's behalf. Comrade Hu, don't ever bully Chen Lijun again, or I won't stand for it, Feng Lily said, emboldened by Li Qinglan's support. Li Qinglan chose not to meddle further in Hu Xiaomei and Chen Lijun's conflict. Since they chose to live together, their rift had presumably eased. The 3 chatted for a while longer. Once Li Qinglan had finished cooking supper, Feng Lily and Hu Xiaomei returned to their rooms. When Hu Xiaomei got back to her dormitory, Chen Lijun had not yet come home. For the past 2 evenings, Chen Lijun had gone out after dinner, and no one knew what kept her busy. Meanwhile, the very Chen Lijun Hu Xiaomei had been thinking about was arguing with Gu Qinghuai beside the threshing ground. Gu Qinghuai, what is this? You already have a girlfriend, yet you keep exchanging suggestive looks with the score-keeper. Chen Lijun had noticed Gu Qinghuai's odd behavior for some time, but had said nothing. Today she had followed him and caught him meeting privately with the young woman. That is nonsense. Nothing is going on between Wang Xiaozhen and me, Gu Qinghuai denied everything. He kept Wang Xiaozhen interested in him for next year's city return quota. Wang Xiaozhen's father was the village accountant and held sway over those assignments. If the production brigade leader had had a daughter, Gu Qinghuai would have set his sights elsewhere. How can you deny it? I saw you two embracing just now. I did not embrace her. I pushed her away. Gu Qinghuai, do you take me for a fool? Chen Lijun was deeply disappointed. She had never expected him to deceive her. Thank goodness they were not married. She still had options. Lijun, listen to me. It is not what you think. You are the only one I truly love. I swear I will treat you well for the rest of my life and never betray you. Gu Qinghuai hurried to explain. He had worked hard to win Chen Lijun over and did not want to lose her over a misunderstanding. Stop talking. I do not want to hear excuses. Gu Qinghuai, we are through. Chen Lijun cut him off. No, I refuse to break up with you. Lijun, I love you. I cannot live without you. Panicked, Gu Qinghuai pulled her tightly into his arms. Let go of me. It is over between us. Chen Lijun struggled to free herself, but his strength was too great. I will not let go. Lijun, I know I was wrong. Do not leave me. I promise I will never meet her alone again. Forgive me just this once. He held her fast, his voice trembling. He was genuinely afraid. If chasing a city, return opportunity cost him Chen Lijun, everything he had strived for these years would be meaningless. Let go first. You are hurting me. Chen Lijun frowned. They were outside. Being seen locked in an embrace would bring terrible gossip. Very well, I will let go. Please do not be angry. Gu Qinghuai released her at once. Seeing red marks on her wrists filled him with remorse. You must never meet Wang Xiaozhen alone again. If I catch you, we really will end things. Chen Lijun knew breaking off with him completely would be risky for now, so she decided to keep the peace for the time being. Once she would have ended the relationship outright. But Gu Qingwai's earlier report against Feng Lily had frightened her. She did not want to suffer the same fate. The Feng family had powerful connections, hers did not. If she got into trouble, her family could do nothing to help her. With that thought, Qin Lijun gritted her teeth and resolved to endure for a while longer. In the darkness, Gu Qingwai's eyes flickered. Neither spoke as they stood close, each lost in separate thoughts. Early the next morning, Li Qinglan stepped outside and felt a sharp drop in temperature. The sky was heavy and gray, with no sunlight breaking through. She had to hurry into the mountains. If she delayed until tomorrow, the snow would make travel impossible. It looked like snow would start falling in the afternoon. Worried mountain paths would soon turn treacherous. Li Qinglan hastened uphill. She headed in the same general direction as the day before, but planned to go even farther. She sought wild goats, having spotted their tracks near the pool yesterday. She walked for more than an hour, passing the pool and going another 2 kilometers. At last she caught sight of wild goats. 30 odd goats of varying sizes grazed on a distant hillside, a spectacular sight. Li Qinglan crept forward carefully, afraid of startling them. Suddenly a herd of wild cattle charged onto the slope, trying to drive the goats away. Panicked, the goats scattered in every direction. Li Qinglan summoned vines with her special power, tangling and dragging back more than 10 goats. The animals struggled violently but could not break free. She stored them in her spatial dimension. Then she unleashed her vines against the wild cattle. Since she could not use that many cattle, she selected 3 large bulls to keep and let the rest go. Preserving the local ecosystem meant she could not hunt every animal down. After securing the goats and cattle, she turned for home. Along the way she gathered wild fruits and mushrooms. Besides hazel mushrooms, she found matsutake as well. She also cut dry dead tree trunks with a chainsaw, sectioning them for storage in her space. Near the small pool, she made another wonderful discovery, a wild 100-year-old ginseng root. Overjoyed, she dug it up and stored it together with its seeds. She already owned several old ginseng roots in her dimension, though the others had been accelerated by her powers. This one was genuinely wild. On the way down the mountain, she carried 4 large sacks of rich forest humus. The fertile soil would go on her vegetable plots for planting next spring. Shortly after she returned to the educated youth compound, snowflakes drifted from the sky. The snow fell thicker and thicker, soon blanketing the ground in white. Li Qinglan watched the snow outside her window, filled with mixed feelings. She had not seen such heavy snow in a very long time. In her past life, snow had vanished entirely once extreme heat descended. Nearly half a year had passed since her transmigration. Time slipped by quickly. The snowstorm worsened, and temperatures plummeted further. By the next day, snow reached knee depth outside. Li Qinglan glanced at the thick layer weighing down the rooftops and frowned. If the snow kept falling, the roofs might collapse. Someone had to clear the accumulated snow. Feng Lily woke to the sound of shoveling. She stumbled to the doorway and gasped, seeing Li Qinglan up on the roof. "Sister Qinglan, what are you doing up there? Come down at once. The snow load is too heavy. If we do not clear it, the roof will cave in. Let me come up and help. 2 of us can finish faster." Feng Lily climbed the wooden ladder, intending to lend a hand. "Come on then. Be very careful not to slip and fall." Li Qinglan did not refuse. Feng Lily's roof needed clearing too. With 2 people working, they finished removing rooftop snow in less than half an hour. Afterwards, they shoveled the snow from around the dormitory entrances. Playful by nature, Feng Lily suggested building snowmen once the work was done. Though uninterested at first, Li Qinglan soon got caught up in the fun. In the former vegetable garden, she sculpted a large snow goose with a line of goslings trailing behind it. "Your snow geese look amazing." Feng Lily's eyes lit up. "Enjoy the sight while you can. More snow will bury them soon." Li Qinglan regretted having no phone to take a photograph. "Qinglan, let's have a snowball fight." Feng Lily squeezed a big snowball and threw it straight at Li Qinglan. "You sneak." Li Qinglan got hit unexpectedly and retaliated with her own snowball. Feng Lily could not dodge in time and took a direct hit. The 2 girls laughed and pelted each other back and forth. Hearing the commotion, Hu Xiaomei and Qin Lijun stepped outside and joined in. At first Li Qinglan paired with Qin Lijun against Feng Lily and Hu Xiaomei. Before long Li Qinglan found herself fighting all 3 alone. Eventually Feng Lily sank down onto the snow, exhausted. "I surrender. I can't go on." "What happened to your threats to make me cry?" Li Qinglan smiled teasingly. Foam Lily loved playing yet kept getting hit the most. Good morning, Comrade Foam. You are up quite early. Did you clear all this snow from the roofs and yard? Hu Xiaomei eyed the rooftops still holding heavy snow. We did. This storm may last for days. If we leave the snow piled high, the roofs will collapse. It is freezing out. I am going back inside. Li Qinglan brushed snow off her clothes and headed for her room. I am going in too. You two had better get your roofs cleared. Foam Lily followed her indoors. Even in her thick cotton, padded jacket, the cold bit through. Hu Xiaomei and Qin Lijun exchanged glances and knocked on the male-educated youth's doors. They could not climb up so high themselves and needed the young men to handle the heavy rooftop work. Back in her room, Li Qinglan quickly undressed and climbed onto the heated Kong bed. Nothing beat its warmth against the bitter outdoors. The long winter indoors was monotonous. Most days Li Qinglan either slept or read the textbooks she had brought from the city to pass time. Foam Lily occasionally dropped by to chat, though not often. Their outlooks on life differed too greatly for them to share much common ground. Time flew by, and soon it was the 26th day of the 12th lunar month. The weather had been pleasant these past 2 days, with the sun out during the daytime. Yet the temperature was far too low. Even with the sun hanging in the sky, there was no warmth to be felt at all. Sister Qinglan, Aunt Wang Er just came looking for you. She asked if you want to make some tofu. I do. I'll go find her later. These days Li Qinglan had been worrying over the lack of variety in her meals. She was growing tired of eating braised pork and spiced beef every single day. If only she had prepared more kinds of dishes back then, she would not have grown sick of the same food. Call for me when you head over. I'll bring soybeans to exchange for some tofu too. Do you have any large yellow millet at your place? We can ask Aunt Wang Er to teach us how to make sticky bean buns while we're there. Li Qinglan had been craving sticky bean buns. Aunt Wang Er had sent her a bowl a couple of days earlier, and she had found them quite to her taste. I have some, though not much, about 2 Jin. When grain had been distributed, Foam Lily had taken a little bit of everything. She had not gotten much staple grain, but had ended up with quite a variety of coarse grains instead. Get it ready then. I'll come fetch you when it's time to leave. Li Qinglan planned to go out after lunch. Right now, Aunt Wang Er's family would be having their midday meal. All right, I'll go get the large yellow millet right away. A little past noon, Li Qinglan and Foam Lily left the educated youth point carrying their large yellow millet and soybeans. About 500 meters from the educated youth point lay Aunt Wang Er's home. The house was bustling. Wang Sanjuan's new wife had already moved in. The Wang family had originally planned to hold the wedding feast after the Lunar New Year. However, the girl's grandfather had fallen ill. Fearing the marriage would be delayed, the family had Wang Sanjun bring his bride home ahead of schedule. This was Wang Sanjuan's wife's first New Year with the Wang family, so Aunt Wang Er had been unusually generous. She had prepared plenty of good food and had traded for over 10 Jin of mutton with people from the neighboring village. Aunt Wang Er, are you home? Reaching the gate, Li Qinglan called out. Coming. Comradely, come on in. Aunt Wang Er opened the door and greeted Li Qinglan and Foam Lily warmly. Since the start of the winter lull, Li Qinglan rarely went out, so they had not seen much of each other. We brought soybeans to trade for tofu, and we also hope you can teach us to make sticky bean buns. When it came to food she liked, Li Qinglan was quite earnest. Since she loved sticky bean buns, she wanted to learn to make them herself. She could not keep coming over to Aunt Wang Er's every time a craving struck. Sure thing, no problem. Come inside and warm yourselves up. I'll show you how to make sticky bean buns in a moment. Hua, scoot over and make room for Comrade Feng and Comrade Li. Aunt Wang Er waved toward Wang Hua, who was sitting on the heated Kong bed. Aunt Wang Er, please do not go to so much trouble. Our clothes are thick, we are fine just standing inside for a while. Li Qinglan disliked sitting on other people's Kong beds, just as she disliked others sitting on hers. That's right, we are not tired. We will just stand here for a bit. Foam Lily nodded in agreement. Very well then. Let us head to the kitchen. The yellow millet you brought still needs to be ground into flour. I had better get to it. Seeing that the girls would not sit on the kang, Aunt Wang Er led them to the kitchen. The Wang's kitchen was spacious. Besides a row of stoves, there sat a small stone mill used for grinding grain. Aunt Wang Er was a hard, working woman, and the house was kept neat and orderly, a pleasure to behold. Aunt Wang Er, you actually own a stone mill. Li Qinglan was surprised. She had thought the village mill was the only one around. We bought this ourselves. We have a big family, and going to the village mill all the time is such a hassle. Aunt Wang Er smiled. Having their own mill was very convenient. They could grind grain whenever they wanted, no waiting in lines required. How much did it cost? I would like to buy one too. Li Qinglan was tired of going to the village mill. It was a hotbed of gossip, and every visit meant overhearing endless idle chatter. It was not cheap, more than 50 yuan. Aunt Wang Er did not recommend buying one. The mill was extremely heavy. Even her 3 sons took turns and still grew exhausted grinding grain. If Li Qinglan tried operating it alone, she would wear herself out. It made more sense to go to the village mill. Donkeys did all the heavy work there, and you only paid a small fee for fodder. 50 yuan is indeed quite expensive. I will think it over. Li Qinglan suddenly remembered the grain processing machine in her spatial storage, though she was unsure whether it could grind grain into flour. Unfortunately, Dade Village had no electricity. Even if she had the machine, it would be useless. You can always come over to grind grain whenever you need. I will have Sanjun and his brothers help you. Aunt Wang Er assumed Li Qinglan was put off by the price. 50 yuan was no small sum. Thank you, Aunt Wang Er. I would only need to borrow the mill. I am strong enough to turn it myself, no need to trouble Sanjun. Li Qinglan felt bad asking the young men for favors. She was perfectly capable of working the mill on her own. Very well then. Let me show you how to grind the grain. Seeing how insistent Li Qinglan was, Aunt Wang Er dropped the subject. Inside the main room, the 3 daughters-in-law of the Wang family were whispering about Li Qinglan. Sister-in-law, is Comrade Li on close terms with mother? Wang Sanjuan's new bride had only just arrived and knew little of local affairs. Yes, far too close. She keeps asking Erjuan and his brothers over to do work for her. A flicker of jealousy crossed Wang Erjuan's wife's face. She disliked, even resented Li Qinglan. In her eyes, it was improper for an educated young woman to constantly seek help from men in the village. Oh? Is that so? Wang Sanjuan's wife grew uneasy. Li Qinglan was very pretty, and she worried something might develop between her and her husband. Second sister-in-law, do not speak nonsense. When did mother send Erjuan to work for Comrade Li? Wang Dajuan's wife was far less suspicious. Whenever their mother sent the boys out, it was to earn extra income for the household. Besides, it was mostly Dajuan and Sanjun who went, and Erjuan rarely helped at all. What about gathering firewood and carrying water? Are those not chores? Wang Erjuan's wife curled her lip, displeased that her sister-in-law had defended Li Qinglan. That work was for Comrade Feng, and we received payment for it. Third sister-in-law, pay no mind to her gossip. The boys are always paid for helping the educated youth. Afraid the new bride would misunderstand, Wang Dajuan's wife hurried to explain. I understand. I am not upset. Wang Sanjuan's wife smiled in relief. She had worried her mother-in-law might favor Li Qinglan, and the thought had bothered her. Now her worries faded. That is good. Sanjun is quiet, but he cares for you deeply. Right after the autumn harvest ended, he was eager to go over to your home and help your family with work. Wang Dajuan's wife liked her new sister-in-law. She appreciated straightforward people and disliked those who schemed. She thought poorly of Wang Erjuan's wife, whose heart was full of hidden motives. Sanjun treats me very well, and I care for him too. Wang Sanjuan's wife lowered her head shyly. Haha, our third sister-in-law is still glowing from her new marriage. Wang Dajuan's wife teased. The young woman blushed even deeper and dared not meet anyone's gaze. With Aunt Wang Er's help, Li Qinglan and Feng Lily quickly finished preparing their small batch of sticky bean buns. Once done, they bid their host farewell and headed home. Daylight was fading fast. If they tarried, full darkness would fall. The sticky bean buns were still uncooked. Back at the educated youth point, the 2 of them lit the stove and steamed them right away. Hu Xiaomei and Qin Lijun watched longingly. They wanted to try the buns but had no idea how to make them. Comrade Li, who helped you make those sticky bean buns? Hu Xiaomei swallowed hard. She had lived in Dade Village for years and still had never learned the recipe. Aunt Wang Er helped us. She still has some filling left. If you want some, take millet over tomorrow and ask her to make some for you. Li Qinglan had prepared extra filling, which she had left behind at the Wang home. Wonderful. We will grab our millet and go find Aunt Wang Er right now. Hu Xiaomei loved good food. She had earned decent money that year and could afford sticky bean buns. Watching Hu Xiaomei and Qin Lijun hurry off, Li Qinglan shook her head and smiled. Once she got to know her, Hu Xiaomei was not as difficult to get along with as she had first seemed. Sister Qinglan, you sent them over to Aunt Wang Er. Will that not create too much extra work for her? Foam Lily looked concerned. Aunt Wang Er had already gone to so much trouble for them. Adding more people might be asking too much. It will not be a burden. This way Aunt Wang Er can earn a little side income. Li Qinglan was not thoughtless. She would never impose on the older woman for nothing. Aunt Wang Er was fond of earning money. She would be happy if she could make some profit. Oh, I see. But we did not pay her for helping us. Will she be offended? Foam Lily realized her mistake. She had thought Li Qinglan expected Aunt Wang Er to help for free. We did pay her. That half portion of leftover filling was our payment. Li Qinglan shot Foam Lily an exasperated glance. So that was it. I thought it was free of charge. Foam Lily smacked her forehead and laughed awkwardly. You wish. Nothing in this world comes for free. Without some benefit for herself, why would Aunt Wang Er go out of her way to help us make sticky bean buns? Li Qinglan was amused by how naive Foam Lily could be. Hee, I am slow-witted about these sorts of things. Foam Lily scratched her head, embarrassed. Go tend the fire and make sure the buns do not burn. I will cook congee next. Bring over some rice if you want a bowl. Li Qinglan waved her off. Got it, I will get the rice right away. Foam Lily hurried back to her room. Over the next 2 days, Li Qinglan and Foam Lily prepared all kinds of delicious food, pastries, fried meatballs, crispy fried pork, and more. With mung beans and glutinous rice flour on hand, Li Qinglan made mung, bean cakes and glutinous rice cakes with assorted fillings, taro, pork, and wood, ear mushroom, red, bean paste, sesame, and crushed peanut mixed with sugar. In her previous life, she had lived in Guangdong province and grown fond of these glutinous rice treats. The cooked cakes could be stored in the cold outdoors. When hunger struck, one could steam them again. Alternatively, they could be pan-fried. Pan-fried rice cakes had crispy outer skins and soft, chewy centers and tasted wonderful. On New Year's Eve, every household in the village was busy. Putting up couplets and burning paper offerings were forbidden, yet people practiced these traditions in secret. The educated youth point had planned a group dinner, but Li Qinglan disliked noisy gatherings and chose not to attend. Foam Lily and the others went, yet returned looking unhappy. When night fell and everything grew quiet, Li Qinglan slipped outside. At a road junction, she burned paper money for Grandfather Li and Grandmother Li. By the time she had taken over this body, the 2 elders had already passed away. All she could do was arrange their proper funeral and burial. Grandfather, grandmother, I hope you have reunited with the original Li Qinglan. I have brought you paper money. Buy yourselves plenty of good things in the afterlife. Li Qinglan spoke softly as the paper burned. Since she inhabited their granddaughter's body, paying her respects felt only right. Once the flames died down, she turned to head back to sleep. At the gate of the educated youth point, a dark figure stood outside her dormitory door. She could not make out his face, only a blurry silhouette. Li Qinglan frowned. She knew no local young men well, and this visitor meant trouble. To learn his intentions, she avoided the main entrance. She circled toward the bamboo grove and slipped back via her vegetable garden. As she neared the garden, she saw the man force open her dormitory door. No, what was he doing? Alarm shot through her. She rushed forward to stop him. What are you doing? Li Qinglan switched on her flashlight the moment she reached the doorway. Recognizing the intruder, she trembled with rage. Huh? Why are you not inside? The man was shocked. It was so late. Why was she still awake and outside? Get out this instant. If you touch any of my belongings, I will tie you up and hand you over to the Public Security Bureau. Li Qinglan hated people rummaging through her things. Thank goodness she had returned in time. If he had gotten onto her bed, she would have flown into a fury. All right, I am leaving. Do not be angry, Comrade Li. The man backed off hastily. Everyone knew Comrade Li could kill wild boars. One blow from her could seriously injure him. Stop. Who said you may leave? Just as he stepped outside, Li Qinglan called after him. What else do you want? Who sent you? Li Qinglan did not know this man. His appearance here was no coincidence. No one sent me. I was just passing by and decided to look inside. Is that so? If you refuse to tell the truth, I will tie you up and leave you for the wolves on the mountain. Li Qinglan stared coldly at him. She would carry out her threat if he kept lying. Please do not. I will speak. Comrade Chen from the educated youth point told me you are an orphan with valuables. She said if I could get close to you, those belongings would become mine. Li Qinglan had never expected Qin Jingxi would resort to such underhanded schemes against her. What is your name? How do you know Chinjingxi? My name is Wang Ergo. I am from neighboring Wangjia village. Spare me, I will tell you everything. Wang Ergo was thoroughly terrified. He had heard countless stories about Li Qinglan fending off wild boars, and he did not want to meet a terrible end. How did Chinjingxi connect with you? I do not know Chinjingxi. I know her brother Qin Yohong instead. Wang Ergo shook his head and held nothing back. Qin Yohong? I thought he had gone back to his hometown. Li Qinglan knit her brows. If she had known how vengeful he was, she would have dealt with him more thoroughly back then. He is from Harbin. I met him at the black market. He paid me 50 yuan to cause you serious trouble. Wang Ergo grew increasingly nervous and kept his eyes lowered. Very well. I have never seen you before. How do you know who I am? Li Qinglan had an excellent memory for faces, and she was certain she had never met this man. My aunt Wang Chunhua lives in this village. I visited her some time ago and caught sight of you. Wang Chunhua. The widow Wang. That was the widow's name, though Li Qinglan could not be entirely certain it was the same woman. Yes, that is my aunt. Please let me go. I swear I will never do anything like this again. Wang Ergo dropped to his knees. Fear made him lose all sense of pride. He deeply regretted taking the 50 yuan to provoke Li Qinglan. He had planned to corner her at night and ruin her reputation, forcing her into a difficult position. He had never imagined he would be caught red-handed. I might let you go on one condition. Arrange a meeting with Qin Yohong for me. Do that and I will spare you. Li Qinglan intended to give him a taste of his own medicine. Since Qin Yohong sought to make things hard for her, she would turn the tables on him. Huh? Are you planning to beat him up? Wang Ergo was confused by her request. Mind your own business. Just do as I say. Li Qinglan kept her real plan to herself. If he learned of it, everything would fall apart. Very well. I will travel to the city after some time and try to locate him. Wang Ergo agreed. As long as he escaped punishment, he would comply. Now get out of my sight. It is New Year time. Do not ruin the holiday for me. Li Qinglan lifted Wang Ergo and tossed him toward the bamboo grove. She would have beaten him, but chose not to on account of the festival. She would remember this offense. She would settle scores with him once the celebrations were over. On Lunar New Year's Day, Date Village buzzed with activity. The threshing ground became a playground for village children. Returning from Aunt Wang Er's home, Li Qinglan spotted 3 boys near the educated youth point hunting for sparrows with slingshots. Their aim was poor, and they had not hit a single bird after ages of trying. Li Qinglan felt a spark of interest. She recalled a neighbor from her past life who had taught her to use a slingshot. That kind-hearted man had died long ago, saving his teammates in the zombie apocalypse. Hey, hand me your slingshot. I will show you how to hit sparrows. Li Qinglan walked over to the children and waved at them. Educated youth Li, Happy New Year. Can you hunt sparrows? Little Fatty looked up at Li Qinglan, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. Of course I can. What are your names? If you follow me, I guarantee you'll become the most formidable kids in the whole village. Li Qinglan pinched Little Fatty's cheek. The child was really good looking, and she wondered whose son he was. Judging by how fair-skinned he was, he probably did not live in the village all year round. My name is Godan. My name is Ernyo. My name is Little Fatty. If you acknowledge me as your boss today, I'll take you up the mountain to catch pheasants. Li Qinglan had taken quite a liking to Little Fatty. He somehow reminded her of an old acquaintance. Boss, when will you take us up the mountain? The 3 children shouted in unison. Having gained 3 little followers filled Li Qinglan with joy. Let's go. Your boss will take you up the mountain right now and we'll have roasted pheasant. With a broad wave of her hand, Li Qinglan led her 3 new followers toward the mountain. The children were bold. They feared neither the dangers of the mountain nor being tricked by Li Qinglan. Before long, the 4 of them reached the foot of the mountain. Snow covered everything on the slopes. Unfamiliar with the terrain, Li Qinglan dared not take the children straight uphill. She circled around the foothills and spotted pheasant tracks near the wheat field side. Over there. There are pheasant footprints. Boss, there's a ditch over there. You could easily fall in, Godan warned. He often played around these parts and knew the land well. All right, you 3 wait here. I'll go take a look by myself. Li Qinglan glanced at her 3 young followers. If they slipped into the ditch, the deep snow could bury them. She had not thought things through just now. If anything happened to them, she would never be able to stay in Dave Village. Boss, come back quickly. I'll watch over Little Fatty and Ernyo. Godan was the oldest of the 3 and more sensible. Good. Keep an eye on them and don't let them run off. I'll be right back. Li Qinglan planned to pull a pheasant out of her spatial storage. She had acted foolishly a moment ago. The mountains were buried under snow, and she should never have brought children to hunt. Once out of the children's sight, she quickly took out a partially processed pheasant. Time stood still inside her space. The bird felt as though it had just died, still retaining some warmth. At the sight of Li Qinglan returning with a pheasant, the three children ran over excitedly. Boss, you're amazing! How did you catch it? Go Dan's eyes were glued to the bird, and he kept swallowing hard. Boss, where are we going to roast it? I'm starving, Ernyo said, also swallowing and staring longingly at the pheasant in Li Qinglan's hands. Boss, you're incredible. Even better than my dad. Little Fatty looked up at her with pure admiration. His father could never catch pheasants going up the mountain, but their boss had done it. What's your father's name? Li Qinglan liked Little Fatty more and more. She felt a strange urge to grow close to him. My dad's name is Yang Jingnan, and my mom is Wang Xiuji. The moment Little Fatty finished speaking, the pheasant slipped out of Li Qinglan's hands and fell onto the ground. Yang Jingnan? Could this be Brother Jingnan? Boss, what's wrong? Go Dan hurried forward and picked up the pheasant. I'm fine. I just got tired and lost my grip on it. Come on, follow me back to the educated youth quarters, and I'll make roasted pheasant for you. Li Qinglan shook her head with a smile. She squatted down, stroked Little Fatty's head, and lifted him into her arms. If Little Fatty's father really was Brother Jingnan, then this boy was her nephew. Warmth spread through her chest. In her past life, Brother Jingnan had treated her like his own younger sister. In this life, she would take good care of his son and make up for the regrets of her previous existence. Over at the threshing ground, Yang Jingnan was searching everywhere for his son. He had only stepped back into the house to fetch something, and the boy had vanished. Sweat beaded on his forehead. This was his son's first time in the village, and losing him would be a disaster. Snow lay everywhere. A fall into a ditch could prove fatal. Brother Jingnan, a familiar voice sounded behind him. He turned and saw a pretty young woman holding his son. Lon Lon? Is that you? Yang Jingnan stepped forward in pleasant surprise. If he had not kept in mind that this was not the end times, he would have rushed over for a hug. Yes, Brother Jingnan. It really is you. Tears welled in Li Qinglan's eyes and rolled down her cheeks before she could hold them back. Lon Lon, don't cry. How did you end up here? Yang Jingnan's heart ached for her, and he reached out to wipe away her tears. Much like you. As you once said, all men must die, some deaths weigh heavier than Mount Tai, and some lighter than a feather. Li Qinglan did not want to cry, yet she could not help herself. Silly girl, still as stubborn as ever. Yang Jingnan sighed softly. Brother Jingnan, the moment I saw your son I felt such a sense of kinship, just like seeing you. I never imagined he would actually be your boy. What a wonderful coincidence. Li Qinglan wiped her eyes. Reuniting with Brother Jing and filled her heart with joy. Haha, then you ought to keep your promise. From now on, you can look after my son. Yang Jingnan laughed heartily. He was delighted to see the girl who had been like a little sister to him since childhood. Though not blood-related, they shared a bond deeper than many real siblings. No problem, leave it to me. But I still haven't asked, who is my sister-in-law? Reuniting with an old friend brought genuine warmth to Li Qinglan's smile. The house across from the educated youth quarters belongs to my wife's birth family. I'm an orphan. My parents passed away long ago. I married into the Wang family as a son-in-law. Yang Jingnan saw no reason to hide the truth and told her plainly about his circumstances. In this life, our fates are strangely alike. I have birth parents, yet I might as well be an orphan myself. Li Qinglan gave a bitter smile. In their past lives they had been left behind children. In this new world, both of them were effectively orphans. They truly shared the same sorrow. What about you? Are you here as a sent-down educated youth? Yang Jingnan had visited the village several times before, yet he had never seen Li Qinglan. That's right. I have a household registration in Beijing, yet here I am suffering in the countryside. Li Qinglan sighed. She would never have left the capital if circumstances had not forced her away. Shall I try to get you a job? The factory is hiring temporary workers lately. I could pull some strings for you. Yang Jingnan hated to see her toil in the countryside. Since he had the means, he wanted to help. Forget it. Temporary factory work is brutal. I couldn't stand that hardship. Li Qinglan refused without hesitation. The temporary posts at the steel mill were mostly labor, intensive hauling jobs, dirty and exhausting. She had no wish to endure that. It's true that steel, mill temp work is tough. I'll keep an eye out for clerical work. I'll let you know if something lighter opens up. Thank you, Brother Jingnan. I'd appreciate that. Li Qinglan did hope to find work and leave the village, but she refused jobs that would drain her completely. Where did you all come from just now? How did you get a pheasant? Yang Jing and looked surprised. The snow lay deep, making pheasants hard to catch. We got it up the mountain. You know what I'm capable of. Catching a pheasant is nothing for me. Did your supernatural ability come over with you? Of course. Otherwise, how would I have caught it? Li Qinglan tilted her chin proudly. Back in the end times, Yang Jing and had always teased her that her wood element power was underwhelming and useless for killing zombies. Mine crossed over too, though not as useful as yours. Yang Jing and possessed lightning element abilities, powerful in combat yet of little practical use in this era. He held a formal job and could not hunt in the mountains often, leaving his power with few chances to be used. Come over to my quarters for dinner with my sister-in-law later. I'll cook my best dishes to celebrate our reunion. Li Qinglan was overjoyed and wanted to prepare a fine feast. Sounds good. Are you staying in the shared dormitory? No. See that row of houses near the bamboo grove? Mine is the innermost room. Li Qinglan pointed toward the educated youth compound. Go ahead and start cooking. I'll bring my wife over shortly. All right. We're heading back now. Little Fatty, say goodbye to your dad. Li Qinglan pinched little Fatty's plump cheek once more. Children had such soft cheeks. Bye, Dad. Little Fatty waved in a childish voice. After parting with young Jingnan, Li Qinglan led the three children back to her quarters. Boss, why don't you live in the shared dorm? Niu followed her toward the single-room lodgings, full of curiosity. Boss likes living alone, that's all there is to it, Go Dan cut in. He had heard his mother say the older educated youths were lazy, and no sensible person wanted to share quarters with them. Go Dan is right. I prefer living on my own. Li Qinglan nodded with a smile. Her private lodging was no secret, and the villagers already knew. Boss, if the older educated youths bully you, tell me, and I'll stand up for you, Go Dan declared. He disliked those arrogant older youths. Count me in. I'll help stand up for you too, Niu chimed in. Me too. Little Fatty will protect you as well. Thank you, all three of you. But I'm your boss. I can take care of myself. Li Qinglan was fond of children. Their hearts were pure, free of schemes, and being around them felt easy. Boss, I can pluck the pheasant feathers. We killed a chicken at my house yesterday, and my brother and I plucked the feathers together. Go Dan volunteered before they even reached the room. I can tend the fire. I helped my mom light the stove at home, Niu offered eagerly. I can peel garlic cloves. Little Fatty hesitated before naming a task he thought he could manage. Good boy, Little Fatty. You just sit and wait for the food. Li Qinglan would never make a 4-year-old work. Inside the room, Li Qinglan set Little Fatty down and let the three boys sit and play on the heated Kong bed. She spread an extra sheet over the bedding to keep it from getting dirty. Tough little boys, they had played outside for a long time and showed no sign of feeling cold. Do any of you know how to play Chinese chess? I have a set. I could get it out if you want to play. Li Qinglan had bought it at the supply and marketing cooperative for 50 cents, quite an expense. She owned many other board games in her spatial storage, but those would look out of place in this time period. She dared not take them out and risk exposing her secret. We don't know how to play chess. Boss, do you have comic storybooks? Go Dan preferred picture storybooks. I do. I'll find some for you. Li Qinglan's comic books had been given to her by Feng Lily, a brand new set of Journey to the West and a well-worn copy of Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Wonderful. I love comic books. Go Dan jumped for joy. He had certainly made a good choice picking this boss. She had storybooks and could catch pheasants. Where else could he find someone so great? Go Dan, are you in school? Where do you go? Li Qinglan had not spotted a village primary school in Dave Village, so she asked out of curiosity. I haven't started yet. Dad says I'm too young. I'll go next year. The school is in the commune, an hour's walk along mountain paths. Go Dan was only 7. He could not travel the mountain road alone and would have to wait until the next year. Li Qinglan learned from Go Dan that there was no local village school. Children had to travel all the way to the commune to attend classes. The novel she remembered had never mentioned schools. She had assumed a village as large as Dade Village would have its own primary school. Boss, are you asking about schools because you want to become a teacher? Go Dan looked up curiously. If Li Qinglan became a teacher, going to school would not feel so dull. Would you like me to be your teacher? Becoming a teacher was not out of the question. If Brother Jing and had connections, he might arrange a post for her. Being a primary school teacher sounded pleasant. Yes, my older brother says teachers are strict. If you can't recite your lessons, they hit your palms with a ruler. That was one of the reasons Dan feared going to school. Haha, it's not as simple as just wanting to be a teacher. Li Qinglan laughed. She would have liked the job, but there were no open teaching positions at the commune school right now. But I really want you to be my teacher. Dan truly admired her and thought she knew everything. Even if I cannot be your teacher, I'll still be your boss. When you start school, study hard, listen to your teachers, and don't misbehave, all right. Li Qinglan patted his head. Village boys tended to be lively and mischievous. Don't worry, boss. I'll get a perfect 100-point score for you. Really? Absolutely. I never lie. Dan thumped his chest confidently. All right, I'll wait to see that 100-point score. Meanwhile, back at home, young Jing told his wife about running into his childhood neighbor. What? One of the educated youths at the compound is your neighbor from long ago. Wang Xiuji stared in surprise. He had never mentioned this before. Yes. Her name is Li Qinglan. We grew up next door to each other. Though we share no blood, she is like my own little sister. Young Jing spoke openly about their bond. He saw no reason to hide it from his wife. What a strange coincidence. Could she have come here on your account? Wang Xiuji was not one for groundless suspicion, yet the timing felt odd. No. This is pure chance. Qinglan caught a pheasant today and invited us over for dinner. Yang Jingnan was certain. Both of them had come from another world. No human scheme could arrange such a meeting. Besides, he knew Li Qinglan's character well. That was not the sort of thing she would do. Very well. I'll set aside half of our mutton. I'll make mutton soup to take over for your friend to try. Wife, you're so kind. I was worried you might feel uneasy about Qinglan. Yang Jing let out a relieved breath. He had feared his wife would dislike the girl. As long as your feelings are those of brother and sister, I have no cause for complaint. You have no living family left. This girl is your only kin. Wang Xiuji trusted Yang Jingnan's character. He would never toy with other women. If he harbored improper feelings for Li Qinglan, he would never have married into her family as a son-in-law. Once the children were settled, Li Qinglan heated water and began dressing the pheasant. She planned to make pheasant stew with mushrooms, spicy stir, fried beef, and lamb, spine hot pot. Reuniting with Brother Jing called for a proper feast, she would not skimp. Rich, savory cooking aromas drifted outward and drew Feng Lily over. It was New Year and Feng Lily hesitated to barge in for a free meal. She lingered outside the door, swallowing repeatedly as she breathed in the delicious smells. Lily, come on in, Li Qinglan called out, taking pity on her. Qinglan, what are you cooking? It smells amazing. Feng Lily's stomach rumbled loudly. Pheasant stew with mushrooms, spicy beef, and lamb, spine hot pot. The stew would be for the children. The spicy beef was Yang Jingnan's favorite. The lamb, spine hot pot was for herself. She knew nothing about what Yang Jingnan's wife preferred, so she could not prepare dishes tailored to her tastes. So many dishes tonight. Are you expecting guests? Feng Lily rarely saw Li Qinglan being so generous. Usually she only cooked one dish. Even for New Year's Eve yesterday, she had merely made bone broth noodles. Yes, I ran into an old neighbor brother today. His wife's mother is that aunt who tricked you with damp firewood last time. Aunt Yang. That's her. Funny how things work out. I saw Brother Jingnan's son at the threshing ground, and I immediately thought he looked familiar. Li Qinglan had grown quite fond of her found nephew. She wanted to spoil him. Is that chubby fair-skinned boy on the Kang's son? Feng Lily had noticed the 3 boys on the Kang as soon as she walked in. One of them, pale and plump, was clearly from a city background. That's him. My nephew, little fatty. He loves comic books. Would you part with one of your treasured sets for him? I can trade you meat for it. Li Qinglan was willing to go out on a limb for her newly met nephew. Normally, she would never ask others for their belongings. Fine. You know where I keep them. Help yourself to whatever set you like from my wooden chest. Keep the meat. I'd rather stay and eat here tonight. Though Feng Lily hated to give up her books, the feast was too tempting to pass up. Great. I steamed plenty of buns. Take some back to heat up at your place. My stove is occupied simmering meat. Li Qinglan had prepared more than enough food for extra guests. Got it. I'll go heat the buns right away. By the time Yang Jingnan and Wang Xiuji arrived carrying the mutton soup, Li Qinglan's dishes were all ready. The three children crowded around the table, eyes wide and mouths watering over the spread of food. Hello, my name is Wang Xiuji. I'm Jingnan's wife. Wang Xiuji walked in and greeted Li Qinglan warmly. Hello, sister-in-law. You can call me Qinglan. We're family from now on. Li Qinglan truly regarded Wang Xiuji as her sister-in-law. She knew it could be tricky to get along well with a sister-in-law, so she tried her best to build a good relationship with Wang Xiuji and keep Jing'an from feeling caught in the middle.